Football start with Ronaldo star card. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 101. Battle between aces. It is not too late to mend the situation. The head coach of Sassuolo quickly changed the formation. Simone Zaza was left alone on the front line. Masusi and Farias on both sides retreated in time to form a line with the midfield. Relieve the defensive pressure in the midfield. The two defensive midfielders were freed up to closely guard Xiao Chenhui and Dybala. At the same time, the full-backs on both sides moved closer to the penalty area. Assist the central defenders in defense. A steel defense line was built in front of the penalty area line, standing closely together. No space was given for Xiao Chenhui and Dybala to kick calmly. The formation change on the Sassuolo side quickly took effect. After blocking Dybala's powerful shot, the Sassuolo players took advantage of the situation to launch a quick counter-attack. A long pass passed the ball to the vicinity of the center circle, and Maninelli jumped up and headed the ball to the front court. Midfield general Misleri appeared on the receiving route before Tonali and Bisoli blocked it in place. Extended his right foot to the bottom of the falling football. Without waiting for the ball to land, he volleyed it out again. The football drew an arc and flew to the side of Brescia's penalty area. Simone Zaza, who was lying in ambush, shook his head vigorously. He headed the ball towards the gate guarded by Andrinici. From launching the attack to completing the final blow, the players of Sassuolo showed their ability of high-altitude bombing to the fullest. The football never touched the ground from beginning to end. Why couldn't Berardi play his full power when he was in Sassuolo before? It was because Sassuolo's tactics were formulated around Zaza. Play high. After the wingers and midfielders got the ball, they immediately thought of kicking high balls to find Zaza. Such tactics would naturally compress Berardi's playing space. However, the tactics formulated around Zaza are indeed useful. Zaza, who is nearly 190 centimeters tall, has a strong impact. There are really few defenders in Serie B who can defend against his high-altitude bombing. In Brescia, the only player who has the strength to compete with Zaza for the header is probably Skriniar. Unfortunately, Sassuolo has studied Brescia very well. Misleri's previous high ball and the bottom ball just now deliberately bypassed Skriniar's defensive area. Last time he looked for the top of Koulibaly's head, this time he looked for Kimmich's head. Koulibaly, who is almost the same height as Zaza, can't compete with Zaza, let alone Kimmich, who is only 1.76 meters tall. So Zaza easily completed another header. Andrinici made another save, but couldn't stop the ball from entering the net. He was so angry that he slapped the grass hard. He took the ball out of the goal and kicked it hard. The local commentator Benito finally remembered that he was a commentator. He resumed his duties. 2:2. Sassuolo has scored another goal. In the first 20 minutes of the first half, our team and the opponent scored goals against each other, and the top players of both teams scored 2 goals each. It was a close match. After commentator Benito made only 2 normal comments, he started to be distracted again. But we must believe in our young guards. Nothing can defeat these fearless children. The more Sassuolo struggles and resists, the more we should give the young guards the greatest encouragement. Come on. Cheer for our children. Get excited. Is this a commentator? A live DJ? It would be a waste of talent if he didn't go to the bar to liven up the atmosphere. Tens of thousands of Brescia fans at the scene stood up collectively, pulling their blue and white uniforms, waving their blue and white scarves and flags. They cheered and shouted passionately. Come on, Brescia. Come on, young guards. Beat the opponent. The Sassuolo fans in the other 2 stands were not happy. What are you yelling about? Be clear, this is the Mapei Tricolor City Stadium. The main element of this stadium are black, green and pure white, but not blue and white. Fight back. The fans of both sides used all their strength. A large-scale war was launched on the 4 stands. A large group of the strongest kings are about to enter the battlefield. Ignore the others and spray the other side to death first. Maybe it was driven by the voices of the fans at the scene. Maybe he was still upset about being tricked last time. After scoring a goal, Simone Zaza turned his head and looked at Xiao Chenhui. There was a hint of ferocity and provocation in his eyes. Xiao Chenhui glared back without hesitation. Now Brescia is strong and powerful. They will never be at a disadvantage in a head-on battle. This time, I will crush you on the battlefield. The flames of war ignited. It burned more and more fiercely. The two trump cards of the two teams were at odds. The football was placed at the kickoff point in the center circle for the 6th time. Brescia kicked off. At the moment the whistle sounded, Xiao Chenhui ran with the ball. He had no intention of passing the ball. He challenged the entire Sassuolo alone. The first person he found was Simone Zaza. 3 shakes and 2 dunks. Simone Zaza was shaken out of position. Xiao Chenhui passed by him. Zaza was so angry that he shook his arms in annoyance behind Xiao Chenhui. After all, he was a forward and a tall center. He naturally had no advantage in defense. His speed was not as fast as Xiao Chenhui, the live animal. He could only watch Xiao Chenhui break through him with helpless eyes. He didn't even dare to make the slightest little move. Last time, he pushed Xiao Chenhui down with his hand and got the ruby card. Can't he learn some lessons this time? So, in a direct dialogue between the trump cards of the two teams, Zaza was once again crushed by Xiao Chenhui. But Xiao Chenhui's goal was obviously not to pass just one person. He rushed forward in a straight line. He came to Miss Lera's defense area. There was no intention of avoiding at all. He rushed forward. The momentum clearly said, I'm going to hit 10. Sassuolo's Miss Lally rushed to block. Xiao Chenhui was not afraid at all. His speed did not slow down. His body leaned to the left and made a forced breakthrough. Miss Lally just moved the center of gravity of his body to that side. Xiao Chenhui gently flicked the ball with his left foot. The ball was pushed to the ankle of his right foot. After a slight collision, the ball hit the right ankle and rebounded. It bounced to the right front of Xiao Chenhui. It was just out of Miss Lally's reach. Before Miss Lally adjusted his center of gravity, Xiao Chenhui kicked the grass with his left foot. His body fell to the right. At the same time, his right foot took a step forward, driving his body to rush past Miss Lally. A beautiful change of direction, and knocking the ball past him. Miss Lally, who was also not good at defense, became the second wooden stake. He stood there in a daze, looking at Xiao Chenhui's back as he walked away. Miss Lally was wondering, what kind of monster is this? Can a Serie B striker really do such a difficult move as changing direction and knocking the ball? Why are you still in Serie B? You should go to Serie A and cause trouble. Chapter 102. A family of monsters. A flying blade appeared on the court. No one could stop it. Xiao Chenhui rushed forward with the ball in a straight line. He shook off the entangled defense of Simone Zaza and Miss Lary. It was like the first-ranked Xiaoli flying dagger on the weapon list. He cut apart the defense of Sassuolo's front court. More than 10 seconds later, Xiao Chenhui came to Maninelli at lightning speed. He was the last barrier in Sassuolo's midfield. The Sassuolo players on both sides had no time to rush over for assistance. If Maninelli was broken through again, Xiao Chenhui could face Sassuolo's backline. So Maninelli secretly gritted his teeth. He met Xiao Chenhui, who was running towards him. He vowed to stop Xiao Chenhui in the midfield. It was a pity that he was not Shangguan Jinhong, and he did not have the indestructible dragon and phoenix ring. Facing Xiao Chenhui, who had transformed into Xiaoli flying dagger, Maninelli could only be killed by a knife. Seeing the disconnect between Maninelli and Sassuolo's defense, a large gap was exposed. Xiao Chenhui was too lazy to even dribble past the defense. He just used the tip of his right foot to push the ball past Maninelli's side. Then he switched to overtaking gear. He increased his speed and rushed past Maninelli from the other side. Maninelli took 0.01 seconds to think. Should he intercept Xiao Chenhui, the living beast? Or should he intercept the ball that passed by? 0.01 seconds later, Maninelli suddenly found out sadly that he seemed to have not been able to intercept anything. His body's reaction could not keep up with his thoughts. He did not intercept anything. Just like Zaza and Miss Lary before, he was completely used as a wooden stake in the slalom training. He was unreasonably separated from the ball. After 3 seasons of struggling in Serie B, he was actually separated from the ball. Cut the throat with a knife. Is it too much? If Xiao Chenhui knew the wailing in Manuela's heart, he would definitely turn around and add another knife. Hey, buddy. You haven't been hit by the ball before. That's because you haven't met me. Go ask Regina's number 8 player how he started to doubt his life. When I first stepped onto the professional field, I told him with my actions what it felt like to be hit by the ball. I saw Xiao Chenhui pass 3 people in a row, riding the red rabbit horse borrowed from Guanerge, waving the big knife borrowed from Guanerge. He killed to his own backcourt in an unstoppable manner. Sassuolo's goalkeeper Pomini's palms were sweating. He yelled at the defenders in a timid manner, "Stop him. Block him." In this game, Pomini has been taught a lesson by Xiao Chenhui twice. You can do it once or twice, but not 3 times. What's the matter? Brother Mengjiang, put away your machete? Aren't you afraid of breaking the blade? Several people on the back line heard Pomini's guilty cry. They quickly swung their feet and half surrounded Xiao Chenhui. The 2 side defenders blocked from the left and right sides. The central defender directly hit Xiao Chenhui in the face. Not only Pomini felt guilty, they also felt guilty. They had actually tried their best to score the 2 goals scored by Xiao Chenhui before, but they just couldn't stop it. What do you say? Are they going to watch Xiao Chenhui step on their faces and complete a hat trick? The 4 defenders rushed to Xiao Chenhui like crazy. It was like 4 bulls in a special period. Their eyes were red. Xiao Chenhui, who had overcome all the obstacles, smiled slightly. The reins were pulled. The red hair braked urgently on the spot. Then the hind hoof kicked. The football was kicked out by Xiao Chenhui with his heel. Who said that I must challenge the entire Sassuolo alone? I'm not fighting alone without help. I was just teasing you guys by charging in a straight line before. Why are you serious? If you are serious, you will lose. It is not difficult for Xiao Chenhui to shake off those Sassuolo front court players who are not good at defense. But facing the entire back line whose value is fully reflected in their defensive ability, Xiao Chenhui will not do it blindly. Wouldn't it be better to pass the ball back to his teammates? Dybala received the ball. He kicked it with his left foot. The football passed over the heads of the 4 Sassuolo defenders surrounding Xiao Chenhui. It flew lightly behind them. Berardi on the sideline kicked the ground with his legs. He suddenly accelerated on the line flush with the 4 Sassuolo defenders. He rushed from the sideline to a position close to the penalty area. Offside. Never forget that Brescia's head coach is called Inzaghi, a man who lives on the offside line. So, Xiao Chenhui is definitely not the only one in Brescia who is good at creating killing intent on the offside line. The head coach of Sassuolo saw this scene. He couldn't help but exude despair in his eyes. It's over. In the previous game, Xiao Chenhui scored twice. The players of Sassuolo automatically graded the danger in their hearts. They classified Xiao Chenhui as the most dangerous level. As a result, the danger index of other players in Brescia was ignored. As a result, the big Demon King just made a feint. After attracting enough firepower and pulling enough hatred value, he distributed the ball to other little demons. The sad thing is that the little demons in Brescia are not ordinary patrolling demons. Each of them has the strength of a big demon that can cause trouble to one side. Strict defense may not be able to stop their successive attacks. What's more, there is no one defending now. The 4 defenders are all sticking to Xiao Chenhui. What can we use to defend Berardi's attack? In the desperate defense of the head coach of Sassuolo, Berardi easily received Dybala's overhead pass. Then he rushed forward. With a blue and white afterimage, he jumped in front of Pomini like lightning. He raised his left foot, his main foot, and pretended to shoot a powerful shot. Pomini was so scared that he quickly put himself on the goal line. He stretched his body as straight as possible. He tried his best to block the shooting angle, but his posture, it looked like he was lying flat. Bang! The sound of the powerful shot turned into a soft collision. Berardi used a fake shot and a real pass to deceive the lying Pomini. He pushed the ball to the other side of the penalty area. Donnarumma rushed over. Facing a half-empty goal, he pushed it easily. The ball rolled into the net obediently. Donnarumma, who scored the goal, smacked his lips. He said happily, "I have never scored such an easy goal in my life. Not bad, not bad. It tastes great." After scoring the goal, Donnarumma did not celebrate on his own. Instead, he stretched out his hands and pointed at Berardi, who assisted him. He turned around and blinked excitedly at his captain and Dybala. Then he ran to the captain Xiao Chenhui and called Dybala and Berardi to celebrate together. If it weren't for Xiao Chenhui's firepower, Dybala's overhead pass, and Berardi's fake shot, how could Donnarumma easily add another goal to his goal account? Let's be honest. Under the influence of Inzaghi and Xiao Chenhui, the Brescia Little Demons are becoming more and more united. Although they have cultivated to become demons in different places. There is the white dragon horse from Yingchaojian, the red boy from Hoang Cave, and the golden horn and silver horn from the Lotus Cave. But after half a season of running in, they are like a family of demons. They are close to each other and work together. Kill the Buddha, if the Buddha stands in the way. Kill the God, if the God stands in the way. Even the Tathagata of the Great Lion Temple can't speak. Chapter 103 The Perfect Final Battle. After Donnarumma scored a goal to take the lead again, Sassuolo's momentum obviously declined a bit. Did they not work hard enough? Did they not fight hard enough? Of course not. They had tried their best. But they just couldn't stop the Little Demons from Brescia. Every time they tried their best to tie the score, the Little Demons from Brescia could always make up one more blow at the most critical moment. They ruthlessly extinguished the little hope that the Sassuolo players had just seen. How can we play this? If we catch up by 1 point, they will surpass by 1 point. We can't play this anymore. It's too hurtful. The dejected expressions of the Sassuolo players formed a sharp contrast with the crazy celebration of the Little Demons from Brescia. On one side is heaven. On the other side is hell. The first half of the game ended in 2 minutes. The Little Demons from Brescia walked off the field with their heads held high as winners. After Inzaghi's cold water for 15 minutes in the midfield, the Little Demons who returned to the field were more motivated. 22 eyes were like 22 sharp knives, piercing the faces of the Sassuolo players. Seeing their posture, most of the Sassuolo players looked away, not daring to look at the Little Demons. Obviously, their head coach failed to inspire the desire of his disciples to win like Inzaghi did during the halftime break. Perhaps it had some counter effects. The second half of the game started. Sure enough, the Sassuolo players had no fighting spirit at all. It can be said that they were in a state of collapse. They could no longer play the performance of scoring goals like in the first half. In the 52nd minute, Xiao Chenhui lightly tapped the penalty area line with his heel and passed the ball to Dybala 3 meters away. Dybala met the ball and shot. A long shot knocked through Pomini's 10 fingers. In the 65th minute, Donnarumma, who received Berardi's wonderful pass in the first half, returned the favor and sent Berardi a fatal pass. Berardi easily completed the lob shot with his toes. As this rainbow appeared, the confidence of the Sassuolo players was completely crushed. Even Simone Zaza, who had the strongest fighting spirit, did not resist. He stood in the front court with lifeless eyes. He lay flat on his back. In the end, the game ended with 5-2. Brescia satisfied the appetite of tens of thousands of Brescia fans with a wonderful and exciting performance. It was worth their trouble to drive to the scene to cheer. At the same time, Brescia won a perfect final battle. It won the Serie B championship. It won the 4th Serie B championship in the team's history, and it was also the first championship since 2000. The last time the team won the championship was 17 years ago in 1997. When the referee blew the final whistle, tens of thousands of Brescia fans could no longer hold back. They celebrated wildly. They were as happy as children who got their favorite toys. They cheered with their necks stretched. They stomped their feet and shouted. It was endless. Who cares if it is at Sassuolo's home court? Just be happy. The local commentator Benito even shouted himself hoarse. I said a long time ago that Longguo is the next flag of Brescia. How did it turn out? Did I get it right? He is so prescient. Heroes recognize heroes. Benito gave himself a big thumbs up. His face was filled with excitement that was hard to conceal. He made an indistinct woo sound from his mouth. He couldn't stop dancing. He couldn't stop taking medicine. He was like a psychopath. No medicine worked. He couldn't calm down at all. The 18 people on the list of Brescia youth guards came to the stands of their own fans side by side. They bowed to the fans again to express their gratitude. After some interaction between the players and the fans, the podium on the scene has been set up. Xiao Chenhui was the first to step onto the long podium. Feeling the feeling of winning the championship for the first time in his life. It should be said, the feeling of winning the championship is just great. It seems that the adrenaline in every part has been stimulated, become extra active, jumping around, from toes to the top of the head. Every inch of the body is permeated with an emotion called joy. Can't stop. Following Xiao Chenhui, the Brescia Demons walked up to the podium one after another. It was also the first time for them to taste the taste of championship. Each one was like Liu Leo entering the Grand View Garden. Standing on the podium, I didn't know where to put my hands and feet. The official of the Italian Football Association came over with a smile, picked up the first medal from the tray in the hands of the etiquette lady. According to convention, the medal was first hung on the neck of the captain Xiao Chenhui. He also patted Xiao Chenhui's arm affectionately. He smiled and said, "Young man, you did a good job. Are you interested in joining the Italian U23 team?" Italian U23. Isn't that the domestic Olympic team? Most of those who can gain a foothold in U23 will become Italian internationals. In the future, they will be qualified to represent Italy in the national arena. 6 years later, the Italian team is at the top of Europe. But Xiao Chenhui did not hesitate at all. Even though he knew that the Italian team would win the European Cup in 6 years. Even though he knew very well that the Longguo Pig Association had expressly banned him from representing Longguo in international competitions. He still did not hesitate at all. He is a Longguo. A real Longguo. Leading Longguo football out of the darkness and helping Longguo football reach the peak. This is his original intention, to embark on a professional path. No matter how many difficulties and setbacks he will encounter on the road ahead, and how many irresistible temptations will appear, he will not change this original intention. "Thank you, sir. I'm a Longguo." Xiao Chenhui smiled and politely rejected the invitation of the amiable Italian old man in front of him. The old man smiled and shrugged slightly to express his pity, but he still patted Xiao Chenhui's arm again, indicated that he should continue to cheer up, and then went to present medals to others. After the medals were presented, the old man walked back to Xiao Chenhui and handed the Wings of Victory trophy to Xiao Chenhui. Starting from the 2006 to 2007 season, the champion of Serie B will be awarded the Wings of Victory Cup. This trophy is 63 centimeters high and weighs 5 kilograms. The overall structure is that the goddess of victory holds up a shape similar to the Olympic flame with her wings. It represents the Olympic spirit of sports. It also means to encourage the winning team to move forward. At the moment, when Xiao Chenhui took over the Wings of Victory, the Brescia Demons all bent slightly, stretched out their hands, and held them flat in front of them. Their hands kept making waves, and they hummed to celebrate the victory. When Xiao Chenhui raised the trophy high, the waves in the demons' hands surged like a storm. The waves were surging. The humming in their mouths also turned into roars. It was like a huge wave galloping across thousands of miles, turning Sassuolo's Mapei tricolor city stadium into a joyous ocean exclusively for Brescia. And the owners of this stadium could only look at the Brescia Demons cheering and celebrating with eager eyes. It was just a little bit short. The Wings of Victory trophy was this. But this little bit of money became a hurdle they could never overcome. All they could do was envy, jealousy, and hatred. Simone Zaza looked at Xiao Chenhui standing on the podium and murmured, "See you in Serie A next season." Chapter 104. The incredible effect of the new skill. Wings of Victory has just subsided. A golden boot trophy symbolizing the top scorer in Serie B has once again raised the voices of Brescia fans to a new height. In Brescia's history, it is not the first time that the Serie B championship trophy has been won. But the Golden Boot award of the league is the first time in history. Whether in Serie A or Serie B, players who play for Brescia have never won the Golden Boot of the top scorer. The fans shouted hysterically. They sang Song of Xiao Chenhui over and over again. "You are our Xiao, Xiao Chenhui. I can never love you enough." The wine-chasing boy pierces the heart of his opponent. Light up the fire of Brescia. Fire, 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 fire. For all Brescia fans. Today is definitely an exceptionally happy day. It's worth it, even if you shout your throat out. Amid the roar of cheers, an especially clear prompt sounded into Xiao Chenhui's ears. Ding, Congratulations to the host for winning the top scorer in the Serie B League and completing the Dare to Bet on Tomorrow with Youth Mission. Reward SS level skill, Dragon God Bodyguard. Skill effect, passively gain 50 damage immunity during professional career matches and training. Xiao Chenhui was shocked. At the beginning, he made a bet with Lekuri and vowed to win the Serie B Golden Boot this season. On the one hand, it was to fight for Dragon Country. On the other hand, it was because of the side quests released by the system. But he never expected the reward for completing the task would be so generous. 50 damage immunity effect. In other words, from now on, Xiao Chenhui is equivalent to wearing a piece of damage-free armor all the time. If he suffers 100 of damage, the damage-free armor will automatically filter out half. If this is placed in the game, it will be a true artifact against the sky. Professional players are most afraid of injuries. Many world-class stars have fallen from the altar because of injuries. They are no longer as brave as they used to be. When chasing Boy Owen, Golden Boy Tours, Prince of San Siro Kaka, including Alien Ronaldo who won the Grand Slam of personal honors. If they were not burdened by injuries, what they could have achieved would have been even higher. If they had also had a piece of damage-free armor at the beginning. The picture is too beautiful to imagine. Xiao Chenhui spent the following process in a daze. All his thoughts were attracted by the Dragon God Bodyguard damage-free skill, while sighing at the power of this skill. On the other hand, he was a little dissatisfied. The skill is powerful, but the damage-free effect is a little low. How great would it be if it could be pulled to 100? In addition, this skill can only be used passively during competitions and training. It is obviously not effective in daily life. Otherwise, Xiao Chenhui would really become an indestructible cockroach. Haha. Xiao Chenhui silently gave the system a thumbs up. No wonder when the system issued the task name was called Dare to Bet Your Youth on Tomorrow. Betting on your future career, the reward is really extraordinary. Betting on tomorrow. What you gain is all the future. Xiao Chenhui was so moved that he almost cried for the system that had always been stingy and searched for money. Oh, it smells so good. When Xiao Chenhui recovered from his complicated and joyful mood, all the procedures had been completed. He and his teammates thanked the fans again. Then they boarded the bus back to Brescia. However, Brescia's dehydrated fans did not mean to disperse. They rushed to the parking lot. They started their cars and followed around the bus. It was like a large group of frigates guarding their own aircraft carrier. The Italian officials in charge of road administration had a headache. They quickly sent all their people out. No matter whether they were officials or soldiers, they all stood on the road to maintain traffic order. Xiao Chenhui and his teammates lowered the windows of the bus. They kept shouting at the fans to pay attention to traffic safety. Don't cause traffic accidents because of revelry. The fans were much more obedient. From the scattered formation, they gradually became orderly. They formed a long line on both sides of the bus. They followed the team's bus slowly. When the bus carrying the Brescia kids returned to Brescia, it was even more lively. The fans who had been waiting outside the city were endless. They almost lined up from the suburbs to the city center. As soon as they saw their team's bus come into view, the fans on both sides of the road immediately waved their team flags and scarves wildly. Everyone was as excited as if they had won 5 million. The kids who had never experienced such a scene were shocked. Fortunately, the experienced Inzaghi stood up in time to suppress the situation. He stuck his head out of the bus with a trophy held high. He interacted with the fans with the loudspeaker prepared in advance. He also cleverly guided the fans to keep order. Always pay attention to your own safety. Inzaghi's prestige in Italy is needless to say. People who like him are not just Brescia fans. There is no one in Italy who doesn't like him. So his words were still very effective. The fans' frenzied atmosphere was slightly reduced. Although the cheers were still deafening, they were much more orderly than before. Just like that. It should have taken more than 30 minutes to reach the base. It took 2 hours to walk. It was not until the bus entered the base that the fans around finally quieted down a little. They gradually dispersed in groups of 3 or 2. Monica, who drove back to the base in advance, walked over with a smile. Champion members, how do you feel? Tonelli looked at her resentfully. Sister-in-law, you are so unkind. Did you know it would be like this? Dybala showed a look of sudden enlightenment. Oh, I was wondering why my sister-in-law refused to take the bus back with us before. Monica has been a reporter for 2 years. Of course she knows how crazy the fans will be after winning the championship. How can Brescia's rookies who are experiencing the feeling of being a champion for the first time compare? As for the names of sister-in-law and sister-in-law, the little demons have long been accustomed to them. Who doesn't know that they are a couple? The only thing missing from getting together is breaking the window paper. Just call them in advance. Nothing wrong. Xiao Chenhui looked at Monica helplessly. You did it on purpose. Monica nodded generously. Yes, I did it on purpose. What can you do? Xiao Chenhui was stunned for a moment. He really couldn't do anything to Monica, who made me inexperienced. Who can I blame? Monica smiled and stretched out her finger and gently touched Xiao Chenhui's forehead. Silly. I just want you to experience the feeling of the champion. The treatment of the Serie A champion is much crazier than it is now. Just treat it as an early adaptation. In Italy, no one knows the fire in Xiao Chenhui's heart better than Monica. The Serie A championship is a goal he must win. Maybe Xiao Chenhui doesn't have that strength now. But what about the future? Even God dare not make a conclusion. Monica retracted her white jade finger. Turning her head to look at the Brescia demons, she showed a charming smile. Do you want to celebrate? I'll book the best bar in the city center to celebrate for you. The demons were instantly excited. For half a season, they had been training and playing games. Today, they won the Serie B championship. It's such a happy day. It's time to relax. Oh yeah. Long live sister-in-law. Let's have fun. Sister-in-law is beautiful, domineering, virtuous, and unparalleled in the world. Wherever sister-in-law points, we will go. No questions asked. A cold voice suddenly interrupted the cheers. You're getting carried away. Just after winning the Serie B championship? Did I allow you to go out and indulge? The demons immediately stopped cheering. They looked at Inzaghi in silence. The next second, Inzaghi's cold face showed a warm smile. I'll give you one night. Cherish your limited time to indulge. The demons breathed a sigh of relief. The boss is really something. Why is he panting when talking? This scares people. Revenge him. The little demons rushed forward. They formed a crazy ahad formation. Inzaghi, who was pressed at the bottom, wailed miserably. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. My hair is messed up. The head can be cut off. The blood can flow. As a gentleman, the hair must not be messed up. Chapter 105 Don't talk. It turns out that the skill dragon god body protection that he just got is indeed not useful in daily life. After a celebratory drink, Xiao Chenhui blacked out for the first time in his life. He was very self-disciplined and didn't want to drink. But his teammates were too excited. If he didn't drink in this situation, he would be forced to get drunk by his teammates. Actively lying down and passively pushing down have the same effect. So it's better to be more proactive. How did Xiao Chenhui get home that night? He had no memory at all. At 6 o'clock the next morning, the biological clock rang the alarm. He woke up from his sleep. The first thing he saw when he opened his eyes was a large area of white. It made his eyes hurt. He turned his head and looked along the white. A beautiful face came into Xiao Chenhui's eyes. When did this girl run to the bed? It turned out that the first white he saw was the girl's arm on him. Damn. Didn't Buddy lose a blood just like that? My poor Xiao Chenhui hurriedly lifted the quilt to open a small gap. He squinted his eyes and looked inside. Well, it seems that there is nothing on his body to cover his shame. Naked. What is this saying? Monica is too unsportsmanlike. At least it's okay when my buddy is awake. I don't feel like staying in the quilt anymore. The main reason is that I don't have the courage. I don't know how to face Monica who wakes up in a while. Xiao Chenhui carefully moved Monica's jade arm on him. Then he got off the bed carefully. He carefully pulled a pair of shorts and put them on himself. He tiptoed out of the room. With every step he took, he wanted to slap himself. Drinking makes things worse. Knowing that alcohol is not a good thing. Do you have to drink a few sips? If I drink again in the future, I will chop off my hands. No. So my mouth with a needle gently opened the door and came to the living room. Xiao Chenhui unexpectedly discovered that there were two more things on the cabinet that Monica had placed in the most conspicuous position in the living room. One was the Serie B champion medal, the other was the golden boot of the top scorer. It was obvious that these two things had been carefully wiped by Monica. They were crystal clear. Not even a fingerprint was left. Looking at these two things, Xiao Chenhui suddenly felt less resistant to the possibility of doing something muddle-headed. In the past 6 months or so, Monica has been taking care of him meticulously. She accompanied him in training. She prepared loving and nutritious meals for him. She also worked hard to learn the Dragon Country language and accept the Dragon Country culture for him. In fact, the two of them had already had a heart-to-heart talk. It's just that neither of them wanted to be the first to break that layer of window paper. Two equally arrogant people. Who is willing to bow to whom first? After standing there for a while, Xiao Chenhui retracted his gaze from the medal. He smiled helplessly and shook his head. Then he went to the bathroom to take a shower. After a night of tossing and turning in the bar last night, there is a strong smell of alcohol on my body. I better take a shower quickly. 10 minutes later, Xiao Chenhui walked out of the bathroom without any preparation. Unexpectedly, Monica woke up at some point. She sat on the sofa with a stern face in the same clothes she wore last night. Xiao Chenhui forced out a smile awkwardly. "Hi, morning." Such a meaningless opening remark made Monica seem a little annoyed. "Shut up. Don't talk." Xiao Chenhui scratched his head blankly. What happened? Did he eat gunpowder so early in the morning? Or was the strong liquor from last night not digested? Just when Xiao Chenhui didn't know what to say next to defuse the awkward atmosphere, Monica suddenly stood up from the sofa. She walked angrily to him with a cat step. She stretched out her finger and pointed at his forehead. Furious, "Do you know that you drank too much last night? I carried you back. Do you know that you are as heavy as a dead pig? You almost broke my waist." Xiao Chenhui looked apologetic. Just as he was about to apologize, Monica's finger fell on his forehead again. "Did I ask you to speak? Shut up. Don't talk. I'm such a clean person, and you almost vomited on me, and you vomited all over the floor, causing me to clean the room overnight. I have become your servant, right? Is there such a thing? That matter is indeed a bit serious." Xiao Chenhui knew that Monica had a slight obsession with cleanliness. The words of apology came to his lips, but before he could say them, he was retorted again. "Shut up. Don't talk. I finally cleaned the room, and you started whining for water. I didn't even have time to take a bath before I had to serve you again. You didn't stop, even after drinking the water. You pulled my hand and told me a story. I was so sleepy. Do you know what you told? The piglet built a house, the tortoise and the hare race, the tadpole looking for its mother. Why didn't you tell the story of Nessa's conquest of the Dragon King? It fits your temperament last night." 3 thick black lines were drawn on Xiao Chenhui's forehead. They formed a big character. "This can't be true. Was I really that childish last night? It's unscientific. Shut up. Don't talk." Monica's bombardment came like a Gatling gun. "You still don't want to sleep after telling the story, and you're practicing Dragon Country Kung Fu on the bed. You told me that it's called ground boxing. I think you're just a lazy donkey rolling around. I'm afraid you'll go crazy and hit your head against the wall and become stupid, so I don't dare to go back to the room to sleep, so I can only hug you and let you calm down. How dare you touch my tofu in front of me? Here, here, and here. I'll let you touch it all over," Monica said angrily, pointing her fingers at the most prominent parts of her body. Her eyes seemed to be on fire. "Shut up. Don't talk. You wolf-hearted bastard. If you want to take advantage of me, why don't you say it clearly? Why are you acting crazy under the influence of alcohol? In the words of your Dragon Country, you are a coward who is drunk and emboldened. In one word, coward." A barrage of bombardment came over. Xiao Chenhui's head was about to bury itself in the floor. That is to say, there was no crack in the floor at home. Otherwise, he would have had to get in. According to what Monica said, what did he do last night? Isn't this a typical drunken madness? Too ashamed to face people, he raised his right hand weakly. Xiao Chenhui awkwardly applied, Monica, can I say something?" Monica's anger was almost vented. She turned back to the sofa angrily. She put her hands on her waist and scolded, "If you have something to say, just say it." After getting the approval of the leader, Xiao Chenhui finally breathed a sigh of relief. He said the apology that was on the tip of his tongue. "I did drink too much last night and did something that was sorry for you. Please forgive me. But don't worry, we Longguo men will not shirk responsibility. I will definitely take responsibility for you." Although there was no real thing, but he touched people all over randomly, of course he had to take responsibility. If you eat everything and don't admit it, can you still be called a man? Hearing Xiao Chenhui's sincere apology, Monica's anger finally subsided a little, but she didn't mean to continue talking to Xiao Chenhui. She sat there with a pout and a gloomy face. It was obvious that she was still angry. Xiao Chenhui awkwardly moved back a little. "How about you stay at home first, or take a shower? I'll go out and buy you breakfast and come back to apologize." Monica waved her hand impatiently. She signaled Xiao Chenhui to leave quickly and not get in her way. It wasn't until Xiao Chenhui left the house and the door was closed outside, Monica's mouth suddenly raised a charming arc. "Little guy, I said you can't escape from my palm. I got you, right?" Telling stories and practicing kung fu are indeed there. As for the ones behind, I say there are. Who cares if you have done it or not? From now on, you are my person. Or, I'm your person. Chapter 106, the Grand Alpi Stadium. At 8:30 in the morning, all the young players from Brescia showed up at the training ground. They were half an hour ahead of the time Inzaghi had set for them to return to the team. In Brescia, Inzaghi was like the Tathagata Buddha, which big player dared not to obey. He was wearing a tight ring on his head all the time. Seeing that his disciples were not late because of last night's revelry, Inzaghi smiled with satisfaction. But it only lasted for 2 seconds, and then it disappeared completely. With a serious expression, he opened his speech. "Those who should be crazy have gone crazy. Now everyone should concentrate. We still have one last important game to play." 3 days later, it was the day of the Italian Cup final. Brescia would challenge the powerful AC Milan. That was also Inzaghi's old club. Inzaghi's mood was complicated. He didn't want to pierce a wound on his old club, but he really wanted to win the Italian Cup. There are many frustrations in the professional arena, and this is one of them. Even if you don't want to face it, cruelty will inevitably come. Because there is only one champion. Putting away the complicated emotions in his heart, Inzaghi looked at the little demons in front of him. AC Milan is a great team. The players who play there are of extremely high level and have more experience than us. But we are younger, more impactful. What I want you to do is to go into battle lightly, without any psychological burden, and play at your highest level. Now tell me, are you afraid? Under the stimulation of Inzaghi, a group of little demons instantly separated from the excitement left over from last night. They raised their heads with high morale. They answered loudly, "Boss, we are not afraid. The victory will belong to Brescia." Inzaghi nodded with satisfaction. Then he said, "Very good. But fighting spirit alone is not enough for you to defeat AC Milan. There are still 3 days before the game. I hope to see you work hard on the training ground. Adjust yourself to the best condition. What else can I say? Go to the training ground and work hard." People who are familiar with Brescia's history know that this small team has never won the double championship. In order to create a new history for the team and to engrave their names on the teams on a wall forever, go, go, go. Under the leadership of Xiao Chenhui, the young players increased the intensity of their training. The intensive training lasted until the morning of 3 days later. Then, at the call of Inzaghi, they boarded the bus collectively and headed to the Stadio dell'Alpi in Turin. It is the home of Juventus. It is one of the most popular stadiums in Italy. It can accommodate more than 40,000 fans. As soon as they entered the Stadio dell'Alpi, the young players of Brescia were shocked. The stadium is magnificent. The first-class lawn is matched with first-class facilities. With some other equipment, it is simply a dream theater. Compared with the Rigamonti Stadium in Brescia, there is no comparison, right? Xiao Chenhui took a deep breath and was the first to step onto the lawn of the Stadio dell'Alpi. It felt like stepping on a comfortable carpet. It was like standing in the center of the most luxurious stage. That feeling. It was amazing. "Xiao, you're here?" A familiar call came from behind. Xiao Chenhui smiled and looked back at Pelé, who was walking towards him. The master and apprentice met at the side of the court. Pelé smiled and punched Xiao Chenhui. "Smelly boy, you know it's annoying to video chat with you every day. But you seem to be a little stronger." During this period, Xiao Chenhui called Pelé on video whenever he had nothing to do. Ask him all kinds of questions. Not only about football skills, but also some other questions such as team management. Anything related to football. I'm afraid Xiao Chenhui asked him everything. "Mr. Andrea, the stadium here is really great." Xiao Chenhui replied excitedly. Pelé blinked and said solemnly, "I will announce my retirement soon and transform into an agent. As my first client, I think I need to remind you not to step into a wealthy family too early. It won't be very good for your growth." Xiao Chenhui knew that Pelé had thought wrongly. He was just sighing just now, and he didn't mean to switch to a wealthy family. "Don't worry, sir. I won't be too ambitious. The most important thing is to stay in Brescia and hone my skills. Besides, there's no point in joining a big club. It would be more exciting to build one by myself." Build a big club by myself? This kid is really bold. But with his potential, plus the group of young talents in Brescia, maybe he can really do it. Pelé heard Inzaghi mention it on the phone. Brescia will introduce a group of capable players in this summer transfer window, based on the list drawn up by Xiao Chenhui. Is the team of a dynasty perhaps being rapidly built? Let's talk business, Xiao. Among those Dragon Country players you asked me to pay attention to before, there are really some good seedlings. Pelé brought the topic back on track. He continued, "I was impressed by a striker named Wu Lei and a midfielder named Zhangzis. Their basic skills are pretty good and their potential is not small. If we can get them to play in European clubs as soon as possible and let them receive European system training, their strength may be improved a lot." There are a few other people I've also paid attention to, Hao Junmin, Zhang Linpeng, but they are relatively old. Their technical movements and tactical thinking have basically been finalized, and it's hard for them to make a big breakthrough. Xiao Chenhui nodded. Pelé's situation is similar to his analysis. In fact, the foundation of Longguo players is not bad. Especially when they were teenagers, they were often dubbed the Super Platinum generation because of their good strength. It's just that Longguo's professional league is in chaos and can't be described in words due to the frequent stupid moves of the Pig Association. As a result, most players have wasted their talents. They can only adapt to the style of the Longguo Super League in a cramming manner. Otherwise, they can't stand. Didn't the former genius boy Zhang Xiaoru and others become mediocre because they were criticized by the Pig Association for their impetuous playing style? In fact, the Pig Association is as rigid as the education of Longguo. They don't understand and don't want to understand what it means to cultivate specialties. They make everyone look the same. They are complacent and think it is a success. They say that morality, intelligence, physical fitness, aesthetics, and labor are all developed in an all-round way. But what is the reality? Everything depends on the test scores. What morality, intelligence, physical fitness, aesthetics, and labor, physical education, art classes and other classes are all occupied by Chinese, mathematics and foreign languages. How can they develop in an all-round way? The same is true for Longguo's players. In the eyes of the Pig Association, Zhang Xiaoru's style of dribbling gorgeously and running coquettishly is unique. It is an outlier. It is absolutely not allowed to appear. It is the same with Wu Lei and Zhangzis now. They also stepped into the professional arena with the halo of child prodigies. But if they stay in China for a few more years, I'm afraid that the little spiritual energy they have will be completely worn out. Mr. Andrea, I'll leave the matter over there to you. Xiao Chenhui sincerely asked Pelé. It is unrealistic to help Longguo football to achieve glory with one person's strength. Football is a sport for 11 people. Xiao Chenhui needs help. He can't get away from the Apennines. And he is a Longguo, so some things are not easy to intervene. It is more appropriate to let Pelé, who is about to transform into an agent, do it than Xiao Chenhui does it himself. Chapter 107, Meeting an old friend in a foreign land. After a brief conversation with Pelé for more than 10 minutes, Xiao Chenhui returned to the court and joined his teammates. They began adaptive training. There were still about 2 hours before the game. They needed to adapt to the grass of the LP Stadium in advance. As for the things he just talked about with Pirlo, Xiao Chenhui and Pirlo had already discussed it in the video call. They wanted to find a way to get the potential and certain strength of the Dragon Country players out of the domestic arena and find a suitable team for them in Europe. It would be beneficial to their future growth to get out of the bitter sea of the Dragon Country arena as soon as possible. If a few years pass, when their technical movements and tactical thinking are finalized, it would be useless to come to Europe to play football. At most, it would be regarded as gilding the European team. There is an old saying in Dragon Country, educate your children as early as possible. A young tree cannot grow straight without pruning. Prune the extra branches and vines on the young tree in advance. Only then can it thrive and grow into a towering tree. Of course, Xiao Chenhui was not sure whether Pirlo would succeed. He was even less sure whether Wu Lei, Zhang and others would give up their high salaries in China and take the risk to play in Europe. But no matter what, he had to give it a try. Counting the days, it was only a few months away from the big event that shocked the world of sports. Xiao Chenhui had to speed up the process. He also called Chui in advance and told Chui his ideas. Chui expressed strong support. He would personally persuade the Dragon Country players in Shenzhen to accept Xiao Chenhui's arrangement. Chui was a native of Shenzhen. The group of players who are now playing in Shenzhen basically grew up watching Chui play football. Among them is Wu Lei, who is favored by Pirlo. However, what the final outcome of this matter will be, it depends on fate. Xiao Chenhui put away his complicated thoughts and devoted himself to training. Let's talk about the future later. The most important thing at the moment is to help Brescia win the first Italian Cup in the team's history. An hour and a half later, the Brescia players finished their adaptive training. They returned to the locker room one by one. When leaving the stadium, Xiao Chenhui was surprised to see Duan and Ma Fanchu actually came to the scene. They were waving at him in the press area. While there was still some time, Xiao Chenhui walked over happily. Brother Zuan, Fanchu, why are you here? Duan smiled and said, today is your big day. We are waiting to see you win your first Italian Cup championship. How can we not come to the scene to cheer for you? Ma Fanchu took out a tablet and said with a smile, it's not just teacher Duan and I who are cheering for you. Look, there are many domestic fans following you on the internet. In just a short while, the number of fans cheering for you has exceeded 500,000. Xiao Chenhui looked down. That's right. The number of people on the tablet was visibly soaring. It is estimated that when the game officially starts, it will not be difficult to break the million mark. Xiao Chenhui scratched his head in embarrassment. Are there so many people following me in China? Ma Fanchu raised his delicate chin with pride. Of course. Don't you know that there are already your fan clubs in several first-tier cities in China? It is said that the total number of all the fan clubs has reached more than 700,000 people. Xiao Chenhui was a little confused by what Ma Fanchu said. Xiao Chenhui never thought that he would be so popular. You know, he has never played a formal game in China. He was recently unilaterally banned by the Longguo Pig Association. It stands to reason that he should have no reputation, right? How did he suddenly become so popular? Duan explained with a smile. This is not surprising. Domestic fans are looking forward to Longguo to produce a Ronaldo, and they are eagerly looking forward to it. Your sudden appearance just happened to meet the fans' wishes. If you don't become popular, who will? He became popular already. It was too sudden. There was no preparation at all. Oh no. Xiao Chenhui suddenly thought of a very important question. He immediately looked at Ma Fanchu and asked, does my dad know about me? If the old man at home knew that he was playing football in the Apennines, he would definitely fly over and beat him up, right? Ma Fanchu looked at Xiao Chenhui's guilty look. He smiled and shook his head. Don't worry, Uncle Xiao has another company that is going public, and he doesn't have the time to take care of your affairs. Duan, who was listening to the conversation between the two childhood friends, had a little idea. So Xiao Chenhui was a rich second generation whose family had a mine? Or a large listed company? More than one? Then why play football? Wouldn't it be nice to go home and inherit the family property? He thought about it, but Duan Zuan admired Xiao Chenhui more and more. His family was well off, but he chose the most difficult path for the dragon people. How much courage does it take? Knowing that there is a tiger in the mountain, he went to the tiger mountain. Compared with Xiao Chenhui, Duan Zuan seemed too timid. He had always wanted to resign and do youth training work. But considering the reality, he really didn't have the courage. Seeing Duan Zuan suddenly looked unhappy, Xiao Chenhui asked curiously, "Brother Zuan, what's wrong with you?" Duan Zuan sighed. He said what he was thinking. In the original historical trajectory, Duan Zuan did finally muster up the courage to resign in 2015, which was the next year. He walked out of Xiao Chenhui Sports Channel and devoted himself to the esports industry. In fact, no one knew that Duan Zuan's original intention was not esports. It was the youth training that was related to the future fate of Longguo football. It's just that youth training can't avoid dealing with the stupid people of the pig association. Duan Zuan knew their character well. He had to give up his original dream. He switched to esports. In reality, he couldn't see any hope for Longguo football, so he could only seek some self-comfort in the esports world. At least the esports players of Longguo can use the Longguo team to beat Sakura Country 5:0 in the game. Can we see it in reality? When Duan Zuan finished speaking his mind, Ma Fanshu covered his mouth in surprise. Teacher Duan and Xiao have the same idea. Xiao also noticed this before and wanted to do youth training in China. Duan Zuan suddenly turned his head and looked at Xiao Chenhui. "Do you really have this idea?" Xiao Chenhui nodded firmly. Youth training is the future of Longguo football and the most basic thing. Some people only know how to focus on players who can help them gain political achievements for their own political achievements and completely ignore the youth training. So I want to do it myself and improve Longguo's football youth training. Duan Zuan was silent for 5 seconds. Suddenly he stretched out his right hand to Xiao Chenhui. "If you are willing, I want to do this with you." Xiao Chenhui hesitated a little. "Brother Zuan, don't you think about it again?" For most people, working at Xiao Chenhui Sports Channel is a stable job. It is an ideal position that many people dream of. Not many people have the courage to give up this stable job and create another world for their dreams. Duan Zuan did not hesitate. He said with a firm face, "We will stand together through thick and thin and create a better future together." Xiao Chenhui smiled. He clapped his hands and held Duan Zuan's hands tightly. Perhaps it was just as Duan Zuan said in the commentary, when each of us grows old, when we look back on the past, the best memory left to us may not be success and trophies. It may be the feeling of being touched. Even if the road ahead is difficult, we still need to have the courage to take the first step. Chapter 108, Reappearance of Asian Derby. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, the Italian Cup final of this season is about to begin. Duan Zuan and Ma Fanshu in the press area used their trembling hands to transmit the live broadcast screen back to Xiao Chenhui Sports Channel. The person who replaced Duan Zuan and sat in the live broadcast room with Zhang Lu as the commentator was He Wei. He Wei's commentary was professional and calm. At the same time, he was passionate. With his solid knowledge, reserve and commentary skills, the fans of Longguo gave him the nickname of football poet. For example, when he was commenting on the match between England and Germany in the South Africa World Cup, when England fell behind, he would say, "Rooney is still running tirelessly in the front court. If Rooney is the King Arthur of Britain, now he does not have Lancelot, Gawain, Growlhead and other knights of the Round Table to accompany him through life and death." At the end of the game, Germany eliminated England. He would also say, "The winner and loser have been decided, and the outcome has been determined." At this moment, in Berlin, Munich, Hamburg, and Cologne Cathedral, there must be countless German fans who are excited. And in London, Liverpool, Manchester, and in the pubs by the Thames, there must be countless British fans who are sad and depressed. He Wei's commentary style like a bard makes him very popular among young fans. Compared with Zhang Lu's somewhat old-fashioned commentary style, young fans are obviously more receptive to He Wei's style. This is it. The moment when the game is about to start. He Wei spoke eloquently again. The process of working hard for a dream must be full of fun. This road is long and hard, but those who are determined will enjoy it and keep moving forward. Hello, audience friends, I'm the commentator Hiwei. It is an honor to be able to comment on this season's Italian Cup final with Zhang Lu, the coach. Before today, the Italian Cup final may have been just one of the hot topics discussed by Chinese fans, although it happened right next to us and in front of us. But there is always a feeling of seeing flowers in the fog, which seems so familiar and strange. But today's Italian Cup final is different from the past, because the team competing for this championship is the Brescia team played by our Chinese player Xiao Chenhui. Xiao Chenhui is like a lone brave man walking in the dark, building a bridge with his hands, connecting the Italian Cup final with us far away in Longguo. After saying this, even Zhang Lu, who was sitting next to him, couldn't help but applaud. Look at the atmosphere. Nothing wrong. A game that took place in the Apennines was tied to thousands of fans in Longguo. Although most of this is due to Xiao Chenhui. But if Zhang Lu said this, it would definitely not be so passionate. Just a few simple words can make the fans excited. Zhang Lu asked himself if he didn't have this ability. Sure enough, the screens of the vast number of Longguo fans who were watching the live broadcast on the internet exploded. The sky was full of barrages. Most of them were cheering for Xiao Chenhui. Congratulations to Xiao Chenhui for winning the Serie B championship and the golden boot of the best scorer this season. At the same time, I wish him to get what he wants and win the Italian Cup championship smoothly. Help Brescia achieve the double crown. In fact, since the end of the Serie B League 3 days ago, the fan support groups in several major cities in Longguo have already celebrated. It's just that Xiao Chenhui didn't know about this. But there are also a small number of fans whose attitudes are not so friendly. They question Xiao Chenhui, why he was still unwilling to return to China to play, seeing that the Longguo team was struggling in the Asian Cup qualifiers. Now it seems that only Xiao Chenhui can save the Longguo team. But he just refused to bow to the Pig Association. The Pig Association has not yet withdrawn the announcement to ban Xiao Chenhui. In the eyes of a small number of fans, personal interests should be put after national interests. For the sake of the Dragon Country team, what's wrong with bowing to the Pig Association? Just after making a name for himself in Serie B, are you already acting arrogant? Hiwei frowned slightly without leaving a trace. There are all kinds of birds in a big forest. Dragon Country finally produced a star player who can stand on his own feet in Europe. It's okay not to say that he should be doubled in love. How can he be praised to death? Players are players. It has nothing to do with others. This small group of fans has put Xiao Chenhui on a moral high ground. And then they have to stand on the moral high ground and question him sanctimoniously. If it's not praised to death, what is it? You guys are so happy to talk. If you can do it, go ahead. Who can win a championship trophy in Serie B and wear a pair of golden boots? All you know how to do is spray and roll the keyboard. You have nothing better to do. The experienced Zhang Lu came into play at this time. He used his signature hat of laughter to smooth things over. Haha, the game is about to start. Brescia vs. AC Milan. One is the champion of Serie B this season, and the other is a traditional top 3 team in the Apennines. This is a game worth paying attention to. The implication: stop arguing and watch the game. It's quite exciting. The players of both teams officially entered the field. The captains of the two teams, Xiao Chenhui and Montolivo, walked in the front. Holding the ball boy, he was the first to walk onto the Alpi Stadium. Zhang Lu began to introduce the lineups of both teams. Let me introduce the starting lineups of both teams. Since Brescia's captain is our young player Xiao Chenhui, let's start with Brescia. No 21 is our familiar Brescia captain, Xiao Chenhui, who plays as a center forward. His partners are number 9 Donnarumma and number 11 Berardi. Behind them, number 10 Dybala, number 20 Tonali and number 30 Kimmich jointly shoulder the responsibility of the midfield attack and defense hub. It is worth noting that number 30 Kimmich has always played as a right back. Coach Inzaghi put him in the midfield position. It seems that there is a tactical change. On the backline, number 2 Skriniar and number 26 Koulibaly partner as central defenders, and number 13 Curcio and number 15 Martella are on both sides. There is no change in the goalkeeper position. It is still Brescia's main goalkeeper this season, and Renasi. After introducing Brescia's starting lineup, Zhang Lu paused for a few seconds. Then he continued to explain, AC Milan's starting lineup is stronger on paper. With the return of the former Prince of San Siro Kaká, they changed back to the Christmas tree formation that once swept Serie A this season. That is, the 4-3-2-1 formation. The lone striker is Balotelli, who has scored 14 Serie A goals this season. He is the one in the 4-3-2-1 formation. Kaká and Pastore are behind him. From the position, they can play as shadow strikers, or as wing midfielders. They are of course the two behind the one. The three midfielders who are a little further back are captain number 18 Montolivo, number 10 Honda Keisuke and number 4 Monterrey. The three in the Christmas tree formation appeared. The four defenders from left to right are number 2 Di Siglio, number 5 Mex, number 13 Rami and number 20 Abate. This is the 4. The starting goalkeeper is number 32 Abbiati. After returning to AC Milan, he has been the main goalkeeper for 5 consecutive seasons. For our Dragon Country fans, this game is not only an Italian Cup final, but also has other more far-reaching meanings. Our young players Xiao Chenhui and Sakura Country Honda Keisuke are both on the starting list of both sides. It can be said that this game is also a nation derby. If it weren't for the commentary of Zhang Lu, many fans may not know that there is a little nest from Sakura Country in AC Milan's starting lineup. In the impression of Dragon Country fans, AC Milan is an authentic supergiant. How could there be a little nest? But this is the fact. Honda Keisuke transferred from the Russian Premier League during the winter break. In the second half of AC Milan's league, he played 14 games one after another and scored a goal. He can be regarded as a main substitute. But because he joined the team for a short time, so many Dragon Country fans don't know that Honda Keisuke is already a member of Milan. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 109, Season Finals. After listening to Zhang's explanation, the fans realized that there was a very wretched little guy standing in the Milan team. He was looking at Xiao Chenhui with his chin raised proudly. His meaning was clearly, I'm a warrior from the Sakura Country, so I'm in Serie A. You are a loser from the Dragon Country, so you are in Serie B. There is inequality between you and me. Honda Keisuke raised his chin proudly. It immediately aroused the anger of many Dragon Country fans, especially Xiao Chenhui's fan support group. The Italian cannon was pulled over and started to fire. Fuck. There is really a little wozy in the Milan team. Seeing his humiliating look, I want to slap him hard twice. Don't worry. Brother Hui will teach him a lesson. The last little wozy, Nagato Yu, was taught a lesson by Brother Hui, and they still don't learn their lesson. I don't think the fate of this Honda Keisuke will be much better. Isn't the little wozy always like this? He only remembers to eat and not to be beaten. If you hit him a few more times, he will know the pain. Come on, Brother Hui. Beat the little wozy. Huh. Did you see how Brother Hui left the field? What is he going to do? The sharp-eyed Longguo fans found something wrong. Immediately posted an urgent barrage on the internet. The majority of fans immediately focused their attention on the screen in front of them. Seeing Xiao Chenhui suddenly walked down from the field, he went straight to the press area where Monica was. Seeing that the game was about to start, what is he going to do? Not to mention Longguo and the fans at the scene. A group of little demons in Brescia were all confused. I've never seen the captain like this before. Is it because the final is coming soon? The captain is too excited and wants to ask Monica for a kiss to boost his courage? Only Inzaghi subconsciously held his cheeks with both hands. He began to suck his teeth. One look at the look of that live animal and you know he is going to make trouble again. Can't you play a game peacefully? You have to make some noise to be satisfied, right? I hope that bastard won't make a big fuss. Under the gaze of everyone, Xiao Chenhui strode to Monica, reached out and took the microphone from her hand and put it to his mouth. He said loudly in pure Longguo dialect, "It's better that Longguo has no grass. It's better that Longguo is full of souls. Longguo culture is profound. It's difficult for outsiders to understand what he meant by these two sentences. But Longguo fans understand. Isn't the little Honda Kisuke arrogant? There's no room for negotiation. Every Longguo person knows it. The two sentences Xiao Chenhui just said were actually the first and third sentences of a limerick. Everyone knows what the other two sentences are. Anyway, they are words expressing the historical grievances between Dragon Country and Sakura Country. Xiao Chenhui said these two sentences openly. That is to slap Honda Kisuke in the face. I heard that you guys are living a good life over there. Today, I will make your life miserable. Wash your neck and wait for death. After saying these two sentences, Xiao Chenhui stuffed the microphone back into Monika's hand. He turned around and returned to the court. He is not a petty person. If Honda Kisuke did not provoke him, he would not deliberately cause trouble. But Honda Kisuke provoked first. Then there is nothing to say. I will not offend others if they do not offend me. If someone offends me, I will dig up his ancestors' graves. The major networks in Dragon Country exploded instantly. Brother HUI is awesome. Yides. Great. Great. This is a good use of the joke. It's a great use of it. That's how we should attack that little guy. Support Brother HUI and attack that little guy 100 times in the game. Football is a human being. He was also extremely excited. He spoke directly. The accumulation of 5,000 years of culture is our straight and hard backbone. We can die on the battlefield, but we can't be afraid before the battle. Xiao Chenhui, I support you. Fortunately, the experienced Zhang Lu winked at Iwei. Otherwise, Iwei might have said something in the next sentence. It is estimated that he might have made up the remaining two sentences that Xiao Chenhui didn't say. The barrage sent by the Dragon Country fans on the internet. It was also what he wanted to blurt out. It is said that everyone has his own thoughts. But when it comes to attacking the Sakura Country, more than 1 billion dragon people remain surprisingly consistent. Just attack. After an episode that is not sure whether it is big or small, the game finally started. Macmillan kicked off first. Balotelli passed the ball back to Kaka behind him. Kaka observed the position of Brescia players. Suddenly, he sprinted forward with the ball. It was as if Kaka, who had returned from Real Madrid to Macmillan, had regained his original sharpness. The silver saddle shines on the white horse. The footsteps are like a meteor. The man on the road is like jade. The young man is unparalleled in the world. Xiao Chenhui was very happy to actively try to fight against a world-class superstar like Kaka. Only under the constant tempering of the strong can he gain more experience and growth. Because the position of Kaka at his peak is where Xiao Chenhui will climb in the future. Even surpass it. So there is nothing to be afraid of. Fight. Even if Messi and Ronaldo come, Xiao Chenhui will fight to the end. With a speed faster than the footsteps of a meteor, Xiao Chenhui approached Kaka. Kaka has also heard of Xiao Chenhui, who has emerged in the Serie B this season. He wanted to see if Xiao Chenhui was as strong as the legend said. Therefore, he did not pass the ball to other teammates. Instead, he made subtle adjustments during high-frequency touches. He was looking for loopholes in Xiao Chenhui's defense. In fact, Xiao Chenhui's defensive ability was not strong. He added all his free training points to the offensive attribute. At present, all points have been maximumed out. Only defense is still a work in progress. However, the excitement in his heart made his defensive thinking particularly clear. Even his defensive ability seemed to have temporarily exploded. From a pitiful 32 points, it increased to 50 or even 60. Kaka, who is no longer at his peak, still has some difficulty in passing him easily. After 3 or 4 consecutive adjustments, Kaka still did not find a flaw to break through Xiao Chenhui. This surprised him a little. For a pure offensive player, it seems that Xiao Chenhui's defensive ability is a bit too high. But Kaka is a superstar who has seen the world after all. Although he was surprised in his heart, there was no abnormal expression on his face. Confidently and decisively, he still chose to break through. He took a big step and knocked the football to the side in front. Then he swung his legs and was about to eat Xiao Chenhui alive with speed. If it was Kaka's peak period, even Messi could only eat dirt behind him. It's a pity that Kaka is now 32 years old. After experiencing a serious injury during the Real Madrid period, his speed is no longer as strong as it used to be. Just as his right leg stretched out, before it landed on the grass, he saw a foot landed one step ahead of his foot. It was stuck on his way. Xiao Chenhui took the lead and occupied a favorable position. Kaká's competitive spirit was instantly aroused. Although I'm no longer at my peak, not everyone can step on me. Because I'm Kaká. The legs exerted force violently. Kaká's foot was close to the edge of Xiao Chenhui's foot and stepped hard on the grass. He wanted to complete a forced overtaking. However, just when his speed had just started and the other foot had not completely left the ground, Xiao Chenhui got ahead again. With his extreme speed, he blocked half of his body in front of Kaká. If Kaká wanted to get the ball, he could only bypass Xiao Chenhui's half-blocking position and run from the side. The straight line between 2 points is the shortest. The starting speed on a straight line is inferior to Xiao Chenhui's. Not to mention the arc. Chapter 110. The old king abdicates, and the new king ascends the throne. Seeing that the route forward was blocked by half of Xiao Chenhui's body, Kaká had no choice but to choose to bear it hard. He used his shoulder to resist half of Xiao Chenhui's body. He wanted to squeeze out a space to continue the attack. This situation has happened before. Kaká was not only good at speed during his peak period, he once performed a classic 1-on-3 at Manchester United's Old Trafford. He carried the close defense of Fletcher, Hines and Evra. He scored a wonderful goal that even he himself might not be able to replicate. Kaká, who was born in Samba country, is also outstanding in physical fitness. If there were no injuries, perhaps there would not be the peerless duo who took turns to be the banker for so many years. Unfortunately, Xiao Chenhui is not the one who was fooled by Kaká before, and the current Kaká is not the same person as before. Kaká's shoulder hit him. Xiao Chenhui did not move at all. Instead, Kaká felt a slight pain in his shoulder. It was like hitting a piece of granite. Are you kidding? Is the SS level Dragon God bodyguard skill that Xiao Chenhui just got not long ago just for show? This level of collision directly isolates the passive skill effect. What's more, how can a living animal who has been practicing Dragon Country Kung Fu since childhood be knocked away so easily? That is to say, there are no attributes such as body balance in the system score. Otherwise, Xiao Chenhui's score must be against the sky. Kung Fu is not practiced in vain. Monica can prove it. The set of ground punches that Xiao Chenhui practiced when he was drunk a few days ago was quite scary just looking at it. Kaká gasped in his heart after failing to successfully knock Xiao Chenhui away. What kind of physical fitness does this kid have? The speed is amazing. The reaction is off the charts. The strength is also so strong that it is against the sky. Is it some demon king who disguised himself as a human? The black and hard ones from Africa don't have his physical fitness. It's really hard to carry. Can't run away. Can't carry. Kaká's dribbling was over here this time. He helplessly watched as the vigorous Xiao Chenhui took the lead in controlling the football. He completed a steal right under his nose. Then he took the ball away. He left him with only the back of a lone brave man. At this moment, Kaká truly felt that he was old. At the age of 32, he could no longer break through as freely as the wine-chasing boy he used to be. Messi, who once chased after him and tried his best but couldn't catch up with him, was so much like himself at this moment. He was in the live broadcast room of the Xiao Chenhui dynasty was inspired. The young master is unparalleled in the world, but it's a pity that the young master will eventually grow old. Who can ask, is Lion Po old, and can he still eat? And this step of our player Xiao Chenhui is like a dragon passing through the sea, like clouds rising from the ground, leaving behind the once unparalleled young master Jaya. I dare not say whether this is the end of an era, but I dare say that this will definitely be the beginning of another era. How many people in the world can complete a steal in front of Kaká and retreat unscathed? Xiao Chenhui did it. Just for this point, he really thought it should be made clear. On the court, Xiao Chenhui shook off Kaká and ran back a few steps with the ball. Then he passed the ball to his own midfielder Tonali. After the football left his body range, Xiao Chenhui turned around suddenly, like a wild horse that had broken free from its reins. He rushed towards Macmillan's backcourt like a meteor. Tonali and Kimmich, the new midfielder partner, passed Balotelli who was rushing up after a 2-pass-1 wall cooperation. At the same time, Xiao Chenhui was given time to sprint forward. Then Tonali passed the ball to Dybala's feet. The moment Dybala received the ball, he clearly captured Xiao Chenhui's running route. With a diagonal pass on the ground, the football was pushed across the center line along Pastor's feet. At the end of the passing route, it happened to be Xiao Chenhui's figure. After receiving Dybala's diagonal pass, he rushed forward with the ball all the way. He ran past Kaká again. Kaká was famous for his good temper, but he couldn't stand someone rushing at him so recklessly. Chase. The classic scene was vividly reproduced on the field. Xiao Chenhui dribbled the ball and rushed on the grass in front. It was like a Ferrari supercar that couldn't stop. He had fun on the track. Kaká kept chasing him, but his car had obviously old parts. Even if he stepped on the accelerator to the bottom, he couldn't catch up with the taillights of the super new Ferrari in front. The two ran for more than 40 meters, one in front and one behind. From Brescia's backcourt to AC Milan's front court area. During this period, Xiao Chenhui never looked back. Kaká never gave up chasing, but the distance between them was not shortened. Instead, it became farther and farther. Along the way, Xiao Chenhui was still able to change direction and pass Kaká with ease under Kaká's best efforts. He shook off the defenses of Montolivo and Honda Kisuk one after another. Before the old Mex made a tackle, he volleyed the ball from the top of the penalty area. AC Milan goalkeeper Abbiati lost his temper. He watched the ball blast into the goal he was guarding 1:0. Brescia got off to a dream start in just 2 minutes after the start. Xiao Chenhui's one-stop sprint made the Alpi Stadium silent. All the fans were in inexplicable shock. The once classic scene and the scene in front of them merged in their minds. The fans couldn't tell whether what they saw just now was real or fake. They needed time to digest what they saw with their own eyes. In the live broadcast room of China, Zhang Lu, who was sitting next to He Wei, also took nearly 10 seconds to come back to his senses. How Kaká crushed Messi in the past. Now he is crushed by Xiao Chenhui. It is true that the young are afraid of the strong. The waves behind the Yangtze River push the waves in front. The waves in front can only be beaten to death on the beach. Coach Zhang Lu was just about to share his feelings with the Dragon fans on the internet. He heard He Wei next to him start reciting poetry again. History always repeats itself in a surprising way. What a familiar scene. Thinking back to the past, in 2006, the Samba Kingdom met the Pampas Eagles. Kaká rode away and left the future world footballer Messi behind, and then killed Argentina with a single sword. No one could stop him at that time. Many years later, we saw another version of speed and passion. It's just that the boy chasing the wind back then is already an old horse, while another boy chasing the wind is rising like a meteor. We are fortunate to live in this era and have witnessed the demeanor of 2 generations of wind-chasing kings. What I want to say is that the old king is about to abdicate and the new king is on the throne. He Wei's commentary is indeed full of passion. Revisiting the past will lead to faith. The 8 words "the old king abdicates, the new king ascends the throne" directly ignited the long-hidden flame in the hearts of many Dragon fans. All the fans of Dragon Country have been waiting for the king to appear for too long. Today, they finally see the hope they have never had before. How can they not be excited? Coupled with He Wei's passionate commentary. Amazing. In the same second, I don't know how many cups, tables, chairs and other things died heroically in the hands of the excited Dragon Country fans. Sacrificed for the country. The veteran commentator Zhang Lu couldn't help but turn his head and glance at He Wei. Isn't it the case that the waves behind push the waves ahead? Count from the start of the game to now. In addition to commenting on the starting lineups of both sides, how many words have I said? The words I wanted to say were snatched away by the young man in front of me, and they said it so elegantly. Okay, you win. I'm Kaká, an old horse waiting for his turn. You are the vigorous Xiao Chenhui. Okay, I'm laying my cards on the table. I can't catch up with you. Chapter 111 Perfect Fusion. The Brescia youngsters who were leading by 1 goal were like being injected with chicken blood. They ran to Xiao Chenhui like crazy. They shouted like crazy. They celebrated like crazy. They ignored everyone around them. They did as they had agreed in advance. Dybala knelt on one knee on the lawn. He lifted Xiao Chenhui's right foot and put it on his knee. The other youngsters, including Ibrahimović who ran all the way from the goal, knelt in a circle around Xiao Chenhui like the knights of the Round Table who protected the nobles in ancient Europe. They made the gesture of passing a towel with their hands. One by one, they passed the non-existent towel to Dybala's hands. Dybala solemnly took the towel. Under the gaze of the other knights of the Round Table, he carefully wiped the golden assassin boots on Xiao Chenhui's feet. The whole set of celebrations lasted for 3 minutes. Xiao Chenhui was embarrassed. It was even more embarrassing than the frankness with Monica that he accidentally had with him. These guys are too exaggerated, aren't they? When did they choreograph such a complicated drama? And how did they know that I would definitely score in this game? It's really strange. Are they all prophets? It was this celebration action that made Xiao Chenhui very embarrassed. It set off a new wave of craze on major networks in Dragon Country. Did you see that? Brother Hui is a godlike existence. The Brescia Youth Guards are Brother Hui's guards. They are the Knights of the Round Table. A new king has ascended the throne. The king of our Dragon Country. Haha, did you notice the expression on Xiao Woze's face when Brother Hui passed him just now? He looked like a complete clown. The guy above, I saw it too. It made me laugh to death. Brother Hui is Brother Hui. Hitting Xiao Woze in the face is so domineering. I think if this trend continues, by the end of the game, Xiao Woze's face won't be swollen like a pig's head, right? I don't think it's impossible. Brother Hui is very fierce. The guillotine is out, waiting for Brother Hui to get a pentakill. We are used to seeing Dragon Country players repeatedly not being able to raise their heads in front of European and South American players. Concap, who is not even eligible to be selected for the Argentine team, can set off a huge wave in the Dragon Country League. He won the reputation of King of the Celestial Body. At this moment, we suddenly saw that things were reversed. A large group of European and South American players willingly became Xiao Chenhui's Round Table Knights. Kaka, who once stood at the top of the world, has become Xiao Chenhui's background board. This is something that Dragon Country fans dare not even dream of. If they don't go crazy, they will be suffocated. After countless cups, tables, and chairs, countless keyboards have been sacrificed on the road to the throne of a living animal. How can the excitement of Dragon Country fans be endured by keyboards? Keyboard manufacturers whose orders suddenly surged are still wondering what's going on. Normally, they can't sell as much as they sold today in half a month. The complicated celebrations ended. The game continued. If it develops normally, even if Brescia leads by 1 goal, there is more than an 80% chance that they will lose in the end. A lean camel is bigger than a horse. After all, the strength of Macmillan is obvious to all. Balotelli, Kaka and others in this period are still in their prime. They are still quite powerful. But don't forget, Xiao Chenhui was reborn with the system. Ding, congratulations to the host for scoring a goal and gaining 10 free training points. Currently, the free training points have accumulated to the limit. Alien Ronaldo's star card is automatically upgraded to perfect fusion. After a few seconds of silence, the system issued a second crisp prompt sound. Ding, congratulations to the host for matching the perfect fusion of the Alien Ronaldo star card. The host's attributes have been improved. The system then displayed Xiao Chenhui's current attributes. Name, Xiao Chenhui. Age, 18. Height, 185 cm. Weight, 75 kg. Position, center, winger. Shooting, 94. Defense, 45. Dribbling, 95. Passing, 78. Goalkeeping, 10. Set piece, 74. Strength, 85. Speed, 98. Bounce, 78. Awareness, 86. Stamina, 80. Overall score, 94. Exclusive skills, SSS level pendulum pass, SS level dragon god body protection, S level offside, S level falling leaf ball. Asian pioneer mode is not yet enabled. Weak country strong general mode is not yet enabled. Mr. Ballon d'Or mode is not yet enabled. Xiao Chenhui was overjoyed to accept the gift from the system. He has been waiting for this day for more than half a season. Finally got what he wanted. He got Ronaldo's peak attributes. In addition to Xiao Chenhui's own strong physical fitness. AC Milan? Haha. In the 13th minute of the game, Xiao Chenhui made a comeback. Riding a red rabbit horse and wielding a machete, he passed all the levels and defeated all the generals. He started with Balotelli. He passed Pastore, Honda Kisuke, Monterrey, Mex and Rami. He really passed all the levels and defeated all the generals. He even made Honda Kisuke, who exerted too much force, completely lose his balance. He fell down in a mess. He performed a scene of breaking with his face rubbing against the ground. Who told him to be so determined to prove that the players of Sakura Country are better than those of Dragon Country? Eat shit. After breaking through half of the AC Milan team, Xiao Chenhui walked lightly to the last level, Ibrahimović. Ibrahimović's face was solemn. He chose to attack without hesitation. More than 10 minutes ago, he didn't choose to attack immediately because he looked down on Xiao Chenhui from Serie B. He gave Xiao Chenhui enough time to kick the ball, allowing him to score a violent volley outside the penalty area. This time, Ibrahimović would not leave any space for Xiao Chenhui. It's a pity that Ibrahimović didn't know. Compared with long shots, Xiao Chenhui prefers the goalkeeper to take the initiative. A golden light slowly lit up in the skill bar. The SSS level skill pendulum pass appeared in Kaká's stunned gaze. In the AC Milan team, no one knows Ronaldo better than Kaká. They are all superstars from the Samba country. So when Kaká saw Xiao Chenhui use the pendulum pass, his face showed an extremely shocked look. Ronaldo officially announced his retirement on Valentine's Day in 2011. In the nearly 3 years since then, Kaká has never seen the essence of this magical skill in other people. Even if someone has done it, it is just an imitation. It's just an A-grade product, not even a high-end imitation. But in Xiao Chenhui, Kaká saw the essence that is not inferior to Ronaldo. There is even an illusion of familiarity. It seems that the one who performed the pendulum pass in front of him is Ronaldo himself. His own goal may be hanging again. Just as Kaká expected, Xiao Chenhui's body swayed back and forth at an unpredictable amplitude. Ibrahimović couldn't guess his next move at all. Every time Xiao Chenhui made a move, he thought he guessed it right. Then he would immediately find out that his guess was actually completely wrong. Not even close. Following the amplitude of Xiao Chenhui's swing, Ibrahimović quickly adjusted his center of gravity 3 times in a hurry. Finally, he lost his balance. He fell headfirst in front of Xiao Chenhui. Helplessly, he watched Xiao Chenhui lightly push the ball with his foot, leading it to pass by him. Go forward. Push flat. Score 2:0. Everything is so simple. So simple that there is no solution. Chapter 112 Overtime. The score of 2:0 was maintained until the halftime. AC Milan, which was unexpectedly suppressed, won a precious 15 minutes of breathing time. In the locker room, temporary head coach Seedorf walked in with a gloomy face. He was also one of the founders of Milan's glorious period. He was in the same group of players as Brescia head coach Inzaghi. After the winter break, because the club's top management was dissatisfied with Allegri's coaching results, Seedorf was able to replace Allegri as the head coach of AC Milan. Based on Seedorf's glory as a player and his long-term service in AC Milan, he still has a lot of prestige in the team. The first sentence of Seedorf when he entered the locker room was, "It's hard for me to imagine that you lost to a group of fish. What are we? We are the giants of Serie A, one of the traditional 3 strong teams. What is the opponent? It's just a weak team in Serie B. What's the result? You actually let the opponent lead by 2 goals. Tell me, are you collectively sleepwalking?" It took 5 minutes to scold the disciples. Then Seedorf spent nearly 10 minutes explaining tactics and arranging tasks. Then he left the locker room with a bad face. To be honest, if it was in the past, Seedorf would not have taken the Italian Cup Championship seriously. But things are different now. AC Milan, under Allegri's leadership, played terribly in the league and the Champions League this season. It was about to win nothing. How could Seedorf, who was temporarily promoted, not be anxious? He was still counting on becoming a regular with the Italian Cup Championship. He can't always have the word temporary on his head, right? It's easy to say, but hard to hear. After Seedorf left, Kaká stood up slowly. "Guys, maybe you know that this will be my last season playing in Europe. I want to help my beloved team win this game and leave the last championship for my beloved. So, please. The straight back slowly bent down. Kaká bowed deeply to his teammates. He became famous in Milan. He regarded Milan as his hometown. Although he drifted in Madrid for 4 years during that time. But after returning home, he missed and loved his hometown more than ever. Therefore, when he was about to leave, he didn't want to leave any regrets. Milan's starting and substitute players stood up one after another. They returned the greetings to Kaká, who bowed. Except Balotelli. He seemed to have not heard Seedorf's previous lecture at all. He turned a deaf ear to Kaká's affectionate confession. He sat there playing with his shoelaces. It seemed that was the best thing in the world. No one could guess what was in his mind. The players of both sides returned to the field. The second half of the game began. Shortly after the opening whistle, Inzaghi felt the changes in his home team. Compared with the old and decrepit in the first half, Milan's players played more energetically. Inzaghi didn't know what happened during the halftime break, but he knew he had to make changes. He knew the foundation of AC Milan very well. If he couldn't kill it with one blow, he might be counter-attacked by the beast at the end of its life. He uttered a few monosyllables loudly. Inzaghi's hands kept making various small movements. In this way, communication was basically done by shouting, and communication was basically done by hands. He conveyed orders to the disciples on the field. There was no other way. He and Seedorf were too familiar with each other. If he said it openly, Seedorf would probably be able to crack it in less than 2 minutes. In that case, what was the point of changing? What was the difference between playing an open card? After receiving Inzaghi's signal transmission, the Brescia Demons made tactical changes on their own. The original positions remained basically unchanged, but new element appeared in the division of tasks between each other. Xiao Chenhui no longer fought alone. He was more looking for cooperation with Berardi and Donnarumma on the two wings. He launched a positional battle in a local area in the front court. The changes in the midfield were more obvious. Dybala's position was slightly behind. He changed from a front midfielder to a midfield organizer who coordinated the overall situation. Tonali gave up organizing and combing. He and Kimmich each had one. They were inseparable and stuck to Kaká and Pastore. Be ready to cut off their connection with Balotelli on the front line at any time. Cut off the way for Milan's midfield to deliver shells forward. If it is an opponent who is not familiar with Inzaghi, he may be confused for a while because of his tactical changes. But Seedorf and Inzaghi have played for Milan for 10 years. As long as Inzaghi stretches out his hand, Seedorf knows which hair he wants to pull. It's too familiar. He saw that Inzaghi wanted to stabilize the start of the second half. Temporarily maintain the advantage of 2 goals ahead. By the way, consume the physical strength of Milan players. Then wait until the time is right. Then use the advantage of Brescia's young demons. Use abundant physical strength to carry out explosive point assault. In the previous Italian Cup games, Inzaghi used this trick more than once. How could Seedorf be fooled? The same encryption method was used. Seedorf conveyed the tactical intentions to the field. His changes soon received immediate results. Pastore took the initiative to approach Kaká, help Kaká attract firepower. The young Kimmich lacked experience and played the defensive midfielder position for the first time. He was still a little uncomfortable, so there was a not so obvious mistake in the marking. Kaká and his team were all experienced players. How could they miss this opportunity? Starting from Kimmich's mistake, Milan's midfield began to pass the ball back and forth. 17 uninterrupted passes caused chaos in Brescia's midfield. Dybala had to retreat deeper to help Tonali and Kimmich defend. Koulibaly was also forced to run out of the penalty area and participate in the midfield defense. But even so, he still couldn't stop Milan's smooth passing and running. Montolivo made a straight pass. Kaká started to move diagonally at a fast pace. The simple and classic straight pass and diagonal combination tore through Brescia's entire midfield barrier. Kaká, who was running forward with a fast stride, shook off Skriniar with the ball. It was almost the same place where Xiao Chenhui made his first powerful shot in the first half. Standing outside the penalty area, he kicked a piercing arrow at the top of the arc. It pierced through Andreas' 10 fingers. Only in the 9th minute of the second half, Milan scored the first goal of the game. Kaká scored a goal for AC Milan. This goal greatly boosted the confidence of the Milan players. After the restart, they came back. Relying on their rich experience, they patiently tested the defense of Brescia's young demons, causing them trouble little by little, leading the young demons to gradually lose their positions. In the 17th minute of the second half, the 62nd minute of the game, Kaka, who scored a goal, cleverly passed the ball to the central defender Mex, who inserted in the back row. The famous Serie A defender completed a difficult hook in Brescia's penalty area. AC Milan equalized the score. Seeing the aggressive Milan players, Inzaghi quickly made adjustments again. It was a pity that he had very limited cards in his hand. It was impossible for him to play all kinds of tricks like his old friend Seedorf, who made Brescia weak financially. But after Inzaghi's repeated adjustments, Brescia's youngsters quickly found their positions. They withstood Kaka's fierce firepower and held on to the 2-2 score until the 90th minute. The game was about to enter overtime. Chapter 113. No rainbow without rain. In the locker room, Inzaghi clenched his fists and vowed to apologize to his disciples. It was my fault that Milan equalized the score in the second half. I apologize to everyone. Brescia originally had a 2-goal lead at the end of the first half, but the situation changed suddenly in the second half. Inzaghi was the first to make changes, but Seedorf, who was familiar with him, counted Inzaghi's changes one by one. In addition, the players of AC Milan shared a common hatred because Kaka was about to leave the mainstream league. They swept away the slump in the first half. They scored 2 goals and dragged the game into overtime. Brescia and AC Milan came to the edge of the cliff hand in hand. If they were not careful, they would fall into the abyss. Now it depends on who can stand more steadily, or wait for the opponent to make a mistake and watch the opponent fall into the abyss first. It is not entirely Inzaghi's fault, but as the head coach, he has no choice but to take the main responsibility. If he doesn't take the responsibility, will he let these young shoulders in front of him take it? That will only crush them. Boss, don't worry. We will definitely fight hard in overtime. Captain Xiao Chenhui was the first to stand up and said to Inzaghi. Inzaghi shook his head slowly. Our biggest advantage now is youth, and Milan's biggest advantage is experience. If we keep fighting hard in overtime, Milan may find loopholes and give us a fatal blow. So in the first half of overtime, we must be stable. It's better not to create opportunities than to give Milan's players any chances. Ginger is still old and spicy. Inzaghi knows the advantages and shortcomings of both sides. The Brescia Demons can't compete with the experience of Milan players, but Milan players can't compete with the physical strength of Brescia Demons. Now is the critical moment. Whoever can hold on will have the last laugh. This is a difficult test for Brescia Demons. The same is true for Milan players. No matter what, the championship must be ours. Xiao Chenhui made an unwavering vow, feeling the strong confidence and desire for victory emanating from him. The young guards, who were already a little tired and a little afraid, raised their heads in unison. Their eyes were gradually filled with fighting spirit again. Indeed, for this group of young demons, almost all of them experienced the torture of overtime for the first time. They had no experience in this regard, but they had a young and fearless heart. How can you see the rainbow without going through the wind and rain? Today's wind and rain are shaky, and we have to give it a try. They all play football with their own legs. Who is afraid of whom? After a short break, the players of both teams appeared on the field again. There was no smell of gunpowder. There was no glaring at each other. In the eyes of every player on both sides, there was only a desire for victory. Perhaps only Balotelli, who had a unique way of thinking, had different ideas from everyone else. God didn't know what he was thinking. Seeing the players of the two teams appear on the field, he started to explain at the right time. Dear audience, the overtime of this season's Coppa Italia final is about to begin. Brescia was brilliant in the first half. AC Milan was as stable as a rock in the second half. Both sides played well in the first half. Now, they will compete again in overtime. Zhang Lu, who had hardly said a few words throughout the game, quickly continued. From the players on both sides, the head coaches of the two teams still did not make any substitutions. Brescia's bench is not deep enough, and Inzaghi has almost no one to replace. For AC Milan, I guess Seedorf wants to make substitutions at the most critical moment. Try to knock out Brescia with one shot. The two boxers are ready to go and prepare for the last fight. Who will win? Let's wait and see. In the 6th minute of overtime, AC Milan took the lead. Captain Montolivo received a pass from Kaká. He shot the ball in front of Brescia's penalty area. Unfortunately, although the shot was powerful, the angle was very straight, and Renzi saved it with all his might. 2 minutes later, the Brescia youngsters returned the favor. Xiao Chenhui rushed to the front court with the ball, stamped his heel, and passed the ball to Dybala at the side. Dybala also shot from a distance, which went to the upper right corner of AC Milan's goal. Goalkeeper Ibrahimović did his best to save the ball. He slightly touched the whistling football with his fingertips, causing the flight path of the football to turn slightly. In the end, it hit the door frame hard. Brescia missed the goal. In the 11th minute, AC Milan was attacked again by Kaká. He dribbled past Dybala and Tonali in succession, and made a clever diagonal pass on the ground. It completely penetrated Brescia's defense line, and passed it directly to Balotelli, who had already run out of space. Balotelli only needed to retreat a little to receive the ball, and he could easily get a good chance to counter offside. Face and Renzi directly. Unfortunately, God knows what Balotelli was thinking. He tilted his head and thought for 2 seconds in the perfect position. Then he began to retreat. It was these 2 seconds of thinking about life. A blue and white figure rushed over like lightning. Before Balotelli controlled the ball, he fell to the ground and slid cleanly. Destroyed the ball. Kimmich. In order to make up for the mistakes he made in the second half, he started to fight hard in the overtime. Finally, he showed the style of a future world-class defensive midfielder. In the 14th minute, Brescia controlled the ball and attacked. Tonali, who was dragged in the defensive midfielder position, suddenly moved forward quickly. He came to the position between the central midfielder and the attacking midfielder. Dybala alertly poked the ball to him. After receiving the ball, Tonali kicked a long pass without hesitation. The football flew over a distance of more than 30 meters in the air. It landed precisely in front of Berardi. Berardi took advantage of the situation and stopped and passed. He shook off the Milan fullback Di Siglio, who was defending him. He dodged the angle of the shot. Milan goalkeeper Ibrahimović seemed to have just woken up from a dream. He showed the level of the main goalkeepers of the top 3 Serie A teams. He chose to attack in time. He blocked Berardi's shooting angle without leaving any room. Then he firmly controlled the ball in his arms. The first half of the overtime was spent in a thrilling and exciting way. Although the two sides played hard to distinguish, the score was still 2-2. No one was able to take the lead in the first half of the overtime. According to the rules of the Italian Cup, there was no rest time between the first and second halves of the overtime. After the players of both sides went to the sidelines for a simple rest and hydration, the second half of the overtime was about to begin. What was surprising was that it was Seedorf who made the first change this time. He actually changed 3 people in one breath. Chenhui replaced Pastore. Pali replaced Montori. Pazzini replaced Rami, one of the 2 central defenders. All 3 players who came on the field were offensive players. The 4-3-2-1 Christmas tree formation became a 3-4-3. It was just different from the traditional 3-4-3 with both wings flying together. The forward trident sent by Seedorf was not a structure of 2 sides and 1 center. It was 1 in front and 2 behind. Kaká and El Shaarawy, who had just appeared on the field, hid behind the single striker Balotelli. They became 2 shadow strikers. Seedorf's strategic intention was very clear. Goal out to win. Chapter 114. Pass it to yourself 3 seconds later. Compared with AC Milan's formation change, Brescia's substitution adjustment was much simpler. Donnarumma was replaced by substitute centre forward Ernesto Torregrossa. After Torregrossa came on the field, Xiao Chenhui moved to the left winger position, replacing Donnarumma. During the period when Xiao Chenhui was absent due to injury, Torregrossa performed well and scored 2 goals in 2 consecutive games. Later, in more than 10 rounds of the league, every time Xiao Chenhui wielded the machete borrowed from Guarnage and killed his opponents, Inzaghi would replace him in advance for the purpose of protecting Xiao Chenhui. On the one hand, it was to prevent him from being too prominent and attracting the hatred of the entire Serie B. On the other hand, it was also to train Torregrossa, and Torregrossa did not disappoint Inzaghi. In more than 10 substitute appearances, Torregrossa scored 5 goals in limited playing time. The efficiency is amazing. Especially in high altitude bombing tactics, it often plays an important role. Except for Di Siglio, all the other Milan defenders are already in their 30s. After 90 minutes of regular games plus half-time overtime, their physical strength is almost exhausted. It's time to send the 186 cm tall centre forward Torregrossa to rush into Milan's airspace. And Xiao Chenhui's move to the left winger was not a temporary decision made by Inzaghi. Before that, Xiao Chenhui took the initiative to find Inzaghi. He said that, when the opportunity is right and the conditions are ripe, he wants to try to play as a left winger. No one knows the future development of football tactics better than Xiao Chenhui. In the next 10 years, the winger gradually changed from an assassin to the tactical core of the team. The right to speak on the field and the right to cut inside and fire were infinitely raised because of the outstanding performance of the peerless duo. It seems that one of the important elements to measure whether a player can win the Golden Ball award is whether the player can shine as a winger. Xiao Chenhui certainly wants to try it. Moreover, in this game, he has been playing as a center forward. Milan players are used to defending him as a center forward. He suddenly moved to the left and took a slant. Maybe he could catch Milan players off guard. The game continued. Milan players were not used to Xiao Chenhui's position change. The midfielder Montolivo and the central defender Mex, who were responsible for defending him, followed Xiao Chenhui for several minutes before they realized, why did I follow him to the wing? Isn't this kid a center forward? With his great deterrence, Xiao Chenhui attracted the two of them who were originally in the middle to the wing. Brescia's chance came. In the 4th minute of the second half of the extra time, Xiao Chenhui was double teamed by Montolivo and others. A beautiful slam dunk opened up space. Then he passed the ball through the gap and handed it to Tonali in the middle. Milan's midfield center is now a smooth road. Except for Honda Keisuke and Pali who are not good at defense. There was no one left. Tonali boldly rushed forward with the ball. He once again moved his position to the front midfielder area. The front midfielder tactic is also an important part of Brescia's tactical system. As Tonali rushed forward, Kimmich, who served as the back midfielder, always followed him. Just like Bisoli before, he cleared obstacles for Tonali's smooth advancement. He blocked Honda Keisuke and Poli, who caught up and wanted to counter Ob on the periphery. He quickly advanced nearly 20 meters forward. Seeing Montolivo and others attracted to the side by Xiao Chenhui, they were about to run back to the middle to form a siege. Tonali shook his ankle. The football drew an arc along the grass. It turned around and bypassed Honda Keisuke and Poli. It landed in front of Dybala, who said Tonali can only make long passes. His ground passes and diagonal passes are also accurate to centimeters. It is only slightly worse than the accuracy measured in millimeters by his master Pirlo. Dybala caught up with the football in 2 big strides. He dribbled the ball unimpeded to the front of AC Milan's penalty area. He was within the range of long-range artillery fire. Milan's fullback Di Siglio quickly filled in the middle. He threw himself on the lawn like a sandbag. With a fierce sliding tackle, he went straight to the ball at Dybala's feet. Dybala did not force a long shot. He pushed the ball with the arch of his left foot. He passed the ball to the wing. Then he jumped up lightly. He avoided Di Siglio's tackle. Xiao Chenhui on the wing was like a wild horse that had broken free from its reins, rushing to the ribs outside the penalty area. He successfully controlled the ball pushed by Dybala. Montolivo, who had just rushed back to the middle, and Di Siglio, who filled in the middle, were stunned. Are you playing a trick? Or are you playing tricks on us? We run over. You pass the ball. We run back. You take the ball back. Do you know that you deserve a beating? But no matter how angry they were, they couldn't just watch Xiao Chenhui dribbling into the penalty area. Montolivo and Honda Keisuke turned around at the same time. At the fastest speed, they sprinted towards their own penalty area one after the other. Di Siglio climbed up from the grass with both hands and feet. He wanted to return to the wing to defend the defense line. But Torregrossa was one step ahead and ran to the only way for Di Siglio to return. He blocked the nearest passage for him to return to the wing. With the captain here, my responsibility is not to attack the city. I just need to block you outside the penalty area to complete the task. Torregrosa's blocking made Desiglio so angry that he almost wanted to reach out and knock Torregrosa down. If he hadn't thought that he couldn't beat the tall and strong Torregrosa, Desiglio would definitely have taken action. Do you know? You are a substitute center. Center. Not a fucking central defender. Why are you blocking me? So you guys discussed it, right? Not satisfied after playing a great move. Want another trick to lure the tiger away from the mountain? Can't professional players just play football well? Why are they studying the military tactics of the Dragon Kingdom? Torregrosa blocked his route. Desiglio's return was naturally a beat slower. Xiao Chenhui, who was as fast as lightning, took the opportunity to rush into Milan's penalty area. He easily completed the cut-in. It's good that the integration degree has been improved to a perfect level. Let's not talk about anything else. Just the speed. Xiao Chenhui felt like he had replaced a more powerful engine. From a Ferrari with a speed of 350 km/h, he was upgraded to a Bugatti Veyron with a speed of more than 430 km/h, chasing the peak speed of alien Ronaldo. Even without a professional timer for measurement, Xiao Chenhui could feel it. His 100-meter speed is estimated to have broken the 10.20 mark, at least 3 seconds faster than before. The person who felt it most directly was Milan's goalkeeper Ibrahimović. Watching Xiao Chenhui rush into his own penalty area like lightning, Ibrahimović's eyes twitched. This beast. How come he is faster than before? Wasn't he a robot specially made to compete with Bolt for the 100-meter record? Otherwise, how could he speed up so fast? As soon as he pressed the gear shift button. Leave some room. Can you give me some time to react? When Ibrahimović was helplessly lamenting, Honda Kisuke ran back to the penalty area desperately. He and Ibrahimović formed a pincer attack from the front and back. But before Honda Kisuke could take a breath, Xiao Chenhui stretched out his foot and poked. The football rolled quickly between Ibrahimović and Honda Kisuke. Then a shocking scene appeared. In the 8th minute of the second half of the overtime, a blue and white tornado blew in Milan's penalty area. Xiao Chenhui ran an arc in the penalty area. He went around Honda Kisuke like lightning. Ibrahimović and Honda Kisuke, who had no time to retract their strength, collided violently. As they collided and fell, Xiao Chenhui's legs left a trail of after images. He sprinted from the left side of the penalty area to the right side. 3 seconds later, he caught up with the football he had poked out from between Ibrahimović and Honda Kisuke. It crossed the entire penalty area. The football rolled forward in a straight line, but Xiao Chenhui drew a semicircle in the penalty area. Between the 2 points, Xiao Chenhui ran the shortest arc. This shocking scene stunned more than 40,000 fans in the stadium. The Italian Cup will start before the Spanish Cup, so the final of the Spanish Kings Cup has not yet begun. Bale has not yet performed the classic work of flying in the clouds and overtaking on the outside lane. So Xiao Chenhui's performance at this moment seems so shocking. He got ahead of Bale and firmly attached the label of passing the ball to himself 3 seconds later to himself. The great Demon King is scary enough. What's more terrifying is that he also rides on the somersault cloud. Inhuman. Chapter 115. First Italian Cup Championship. Xiao Chenhui passed the ball to himself 3 seconds later. The whole audience was shocked. But his performance was not over yet. Under the attention of the head coaches, starting and substitute players of both teams, and more than 40,000 fans, Xiao Chenhui gently pushed the ball with the arch of his right foot. The football rolled forward along an unguarded straight line. Slowly rolled into the goal. Hat-trick. Xiao Chenhui's third goal in this game. Brescia took the lead again. Honda Kisuke, who hurried over, became the background board of Xiao Chenhui's goal for the second time. He lay on the lawn, buried his head in the grass, and refused to stand up. How arrogant he was at the start of the game. How dejected he is now. He will definitely see his figure on the front page of tomorrow's headlines. But, he is just a foil for the kid from Dragon Country. This is too much of a blow to Honda Kisuke, who has a good life. Not only Honda Kisuke, the other Milan players were also depressed. They lowered their heads and refused to speak for a long time. Their fighting spirit began to dissipate at this moment. The older Milan players really didn't have the energy to compete with the Brescia players. On the other side, the Brescia players cheered and cheered wildly on the lawn. They had already touched the second championship trophy of the season. Beep. Ding. The whistle on the field and the crisp prompt sound of the system sounded at the same time. The referee pointed to the kickoff point in the center circle, indicating that Xiao Chenhui's goal was valid. In the system interface that only Xiao Chenhui could see, he saw new changes. Congratulations to the host for completing the hidden task. Pass the ball to yourself 3 seconds later and gain 2 points of speed attribute. The host's speed attribute has been increased to 98 points. Attribute points are different from free training points. Free training points can only be added to the sub-panels of various main attributes. After accumulating 100 points through training or competition, you can fill up the training value of a small item. And under a main attribute, there are at least 5 small items. Attribute points obtained through hidden tasks or other means are much simpler and more crude. It can be directly added to the main attribute. For example, Xiao Chenhui's speed attribute. After the perfect fusion of Ronaldo's star card, the system combined Ronaldo's attributes during his peak period, matched his speed attribute to an astonishing 96 points. After obtaining the 2 points of speed attribute sent by the hidden task, he can directly add the 2 points of speed attribute he just got to the original speed. 96 points instantly increased to 98 points. After a brief aftertaste, Xiao Chenhui roughly figured out the matching rules of the system. Fusion of star cards will bring him a significant attribute increase. In addition, the system will also trigger hidden tasks, based on Xiao Chenhui's own physical fitness and some actions or things he did, and how much of these actions or things are interception-like. Similar to intercepting Ronaldo's 2.38 meter amazing hook, Ibrahimović's super long distance shot, and today's pass from Bale to himself 3 seconds later. After completing the interception action, Xiao Chenhui can get attribute points higher than the upper limit of the star card. The system basically gives the type of reward, based on what the interception target is best at. Today he intercepted Bale, so the reward he got was naturally Bale's best speed attribute. The star card rewards given by the system come from retired superstars. No one is perfect. Every superstar has some shortcomings. For example, Ronaldo is not very good at heading, and his jumping ability is average. Xiao Chenhui is obviously stronger than Ronaldo in this aspect. Of course, his upper limit is higher than Ronaldo. The system will set hidden tasks according to Xiao Chenhui's specific situation. But whether the hidden task can be successfully triggered, or even completed, depends on Xiao Chenhui's luck. Today he was lucky. He successfully intercepted Bale. So, the speed attribute changed from 96 to 98. Almost full. With a very good mood, Xiao Chenhui picked up the football from the goal. He ran back to the kickoff point in the center circle, until he stopped in the center circle. The fans at the scene woke up from the huge shock. They clapped their hands crazily. The warmest applause was dedicated to a certain animal who passed the ball to himself 3 seconds later. Brescia's die-hard fans who poured into the LP Stadium sang the magic modified melody that belonged to Xiao Chenhui. You are our Xiao, Xiao Chenhui. I can never love you enough. The wine-chasing boy pierces the heart of the opponent. Light up the fire of Brescia. Fire, 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 fire. Hearing the fans singing, Kaka on the field couldn't help but feel mixed emotions. In the past, the wine-chasing boy was his exclusive title. But now, he could only watch Xiao Chenhui snatch this title from his hands at lightning speed. Kaka even had an illusion. In Xiao Chenhui, he saw himself when he was 18 years old. Maybe, he is really old. It is indeed time to say goodbye. In the next game, Brescia strictly implemented Inzaghi's battle plan. Only Xiao Chenhui, who was as fast as lightning, was left to cruise in the front court. The remaining 10 people all retreated to the half court. Dybala, Berardi and substitute center forward Torregrossa formed the first line of defense. Tonali and Kimmich formed the second line. Skriniar, Koulibaly and 2 fullbacks formed the third line. And Rennessi alone formed the fourth and final line of defense. The 4 lines of defense blocked and combined closely in the half-court area, not leaving any chance for Milan's players. Milan's players wanted to attack in a big way and equalize the score as soon as possible. But they were also afraid of Xiao Chenhui, who stayed in their own backcourt. They didn't dare to let go of their hands and feet to attack. AC Milan only got one decent chance in the second half of the overtime. And this only chance It was squandered by Balotelli, who was in a state of thinking about life again. After receiving Kaká's wonderful pass, he was not as dazed as before. He quickly responded and gained possession of the ball. The action was as fast as a cheetah. Milan coach Seedorf clenched his fists excitedly, just waiting to cheer after the goal. However, Balotelli's next move almost made Seedorf spit out blood on the spot. Balotelli, facing the Brescia goal, suddenly did a Marcel turn. Then he stretched out his heel and knocked the football. He wanted to score a goal with his heel, but his heel didn't hit the right spot. This time the shot was biased and soft. It was a failure. Ibrahimović didn't need to make any saves. He watched Balotelli's shot slowly roll out of the bottom line. It was more than 2 meters away from the goal. Is it necessary to save it? Compared with Ibrahimovic's comfort, Seedorf went crazy instantly. What the hell is a cheetah? It's just a sick cat. Seedorf madly complained in his heart. If he can continue to coach AC Milan next season, the first person to be cleared is Balotelli. So disappointing. If he hadn't thought about life at the critical moment, wasted 2 great opportunities, and failed to live up to Kaká's 2 wonderful passes to him, how could the game enter the crawl overtime? Beep. 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 3 whistles sounded. The game was over. Brescia defeated the powerful AC Milan with a 1-goal advantage, and won the Italian Cup Championship this season. At the same time, this is also the first Italian Cup Championship in the history of Brescia. Xiao Chenhui, who performed a hat-trick in this game, is destined to be accompanied by this trophy. He will be remembered forever by Brescians and Dragon Country fans. Just like the poet he when his commentary, let us bid farewell to the old King Kaká with respect and nostalgia. Let us welcome the new King Xiao Chenhui to the throne with expectations and blessings. Congratulations Xiao Chenhui, congratulations Brescia. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 116, Joining Forces. After the game, Kaká took the initiative to find Xiao Chenhui and handed his jersey to Xiao Chenhui. You played very well in this game, but it's a pity that I will leave Europe next season and can't continue to be your opponent. Xiao Chenhui was stunned for a moment. He quickly took off his number 21 jersey and exchanged it with the jersey handed over by Kaká. According to the original trajectory of history, Kaká did return to the Samba country after the end of this season and went to the Major League Baseball in the United States half a year later. In the 3 years there, Kaká wrote another legendary life with 25 goals. He became the banner of Orlando City. For a moment, Xiao Chenhui wanted to keep Kaká. Although Kaká is no longer at his peak, he is still a world-class player. If he can join Brescia, it will definitely bring strong help to Brescia. But Xiao Chenhui finally held back. The king has the dignity of the king. On the same battlefield, Kaká will never play for a team other than AC Milan. Otherwise, he would not have chosen to go to Real Madrid. Let Kaká take the last dignity. Leave quietly. There is something I forgot to tell you. Actually, you have always been my idol. I wish you good luck, my idol. Xiao Chenhui opened his arms and gave Kaká a warm smile. Kaká stepped forward and hugged Xiao Chenhui. He patted his back and laughed. It is my honor to be your idol. I also wish you good luck and win the Serie A championship and top scorer as soon as possible. The handover of the scepter between the old and new kings was completed in this way. After the press conference, the little demons returned to Brescia with the Italian Cup Championship trophy. Xiao Chenhui once again felt the enthusiasm of Brescia fans. From the moment they entered the city, both sides of the road were ended with endless blue and white team uniforms, blue and white scarves, blue and white flags. Even some shops on both sides of the road were painted blue and white by the owners. Fortunately, the Serie B championship a few days ago paved the way. Otherwise, I'm afraid that the whole city would be overturned. On the Pitiflona book of the Brescia team, there are barely 2 or 3 Serie B champions. This is the first time that a Coppa Italia champion has appeared. It would be great if we could have a good time. Brescia fans felt sorry for the hard-working guys in the team. The carnival lasted from the afternoon game until 10 o'clock in the evening. If it weren't for the biological clock ringing the alarm for sleep, if it weren't for the work to be done tomorrow, the fans would have wanted to have a party all night. Of course, the fans of Longguo were more excited than the Brescia fans. Although they couldn't make it to the scene to celebrate for Xiao Chenhui, the vast majority of Longguo fans still expressed their inner joy through the internet and sent their blessings to Xiao Chenhui. Brescia club has never won the Coppa Italia in its history. There is no such thing in the resume of Longguo players. Being able to witness a Longguo player rise like a comet with your own eyes, winning the Serie B and Coppa Italia championships in the same season. By the way, taking the top scorer of both events at the same time. For Longguo fans, it is absolutely extremely happy. What else is there to say? Just cheer. From the moment the game ended, several sports platforms in Longguo were simultaneously in high load operation. They were almost paralyzed by the fans who crowded in. At 10:30 p.m., Xiao Chenhui's home welcomed two uninvited guests. In front of the two-story villa, Menz wore a mask and pulled the brim of his hat down. He appeared mysteriously in front of the villa, but he didn't expect to see his old acquaintance in the yard. He was also his old rival, the damp fat man Raiola. Obviously, Raiola arrived one step ahead of him. He might be brewing in the yard to persuade Xiao Chenhui to switch to his company. Fortunately, Menz arrived in time. Otherwise, the fat man would have gotten there first. Hearing the footsteps behind him, the fat man Raiola looked back. An unnatural look suddenly appeared on his face. You are really a guy who finds a way to find a way. You actually found this place. Menz shrugged unmoved. You are the same. When it comes to finding a way to find a way, I'm not as good as you. Your nose is as sharp as a dog. Raiola frowned. Who are you calling a dog? Menz walked up and stood side by side with Raiola in front of the door. They occupied a favorable position. Then he teased, whoever takes the conversation is a dog. The fat man was angry. You. Menz did not give in. Me. Seeing that the two were about to fight, the door suddenly opened. Monika's pretty figure appeared at the door. Wow. Two world famous super crocodiles. How come you have the time to come to our house as guests? Please come in. Menz and Raiola snorted at each other at the same time. Then he quickly turned around, showing a friendly and peaceful smile, and nodded to Monika. Then he rushed into Monika's house. Of course, they didn't have time to spare, but Monika was half of Xiao Chenhui's family. Naturally, they had to be polite. What if they accidentally offended Monika? How could they recruit Xiao Chenhui? The two shrewd super crocodiles knew very well that in the next 10 years, Xiao Chenhui would be one of the most profitable cash cows in the football world. Even if he couldn't compare to Messi and Ronaldo, with Xiao Chenhui's growth rate, if he was given enough time to grow, he could at least be in the top 10 in the world, or even the top 3. Only after Messi and Ronaldo. They sat down in the living room, which was not too big, but had a strong Dragon Country atmosphere. Menz and Raiola had just sat down when the door of the gym on the first floor was opened. Xiao Chenhui came out with a sweat on his head and a towel on his head. Obviously, even on the night of winning the championship, he did not give up training. Xiao, sorry to bother you. It's a bit abrupt to visit you without an appointment. The gentleman stood up first. He expressed his goodwill to Xiao Chenhui. Raiola was so angry that his fat body trembled. Damn Menz. Hypocritical hypocrite. Isn't it? Just because you have less fat than me? The movements are so agile. You wait for me to succeed in losing weight. Speaking of Raiola, who weighs more than 250 kilograms, it seems that losing weight is not so easy. It's just that Raiola didn't have the awareness he should have. Yes, you are now famous in half of the Apennines. We are afraid that you don't have time, so we have to come directly to your door. Raiola, who was one step behind, finally stood up from the sofa with difficulty. Before Menz could say the next sentence, he flattered Xiao Chenhui a little. Raiola's philosophy is, don't you have a saying in Longguo that you shouldn't hit a smiling person? Look at my big fat face. I'm still smiling happily. You're embarrassed to drive us out, right? Xiao Chenhui really didn't expect that the two of them would come over in the middle of the night. He casually wiped the sweat off his face. He came to the opposite side of them. Please sit down, both of you. Let's sit down and talk if you have anything to say. Hearing Xiao Chenhui speak, the two super crocodiles who usually manipulate other players will finally breathed a sigh of relief. They sat down on the sofa steadily. The well-behaved Monica turned around and made coffee for them. There is no habit of drinking tea in Italy. Even at late night, coffee is generally used to entertain guests. Who asked these two super crocodiles to visit us in the middle of the night, disturbing our world of two? It's good to have a cup of coffee. I wish you a sleepless night. Under Monica's well-behaved appearance, who can see that there is such a vicious mind? Chapter 117. My agent is Perlo. Soon, coffee was served and placed in front of Menz and Raiola. Monica took the opportunity to sit next to Xiao Chenhui and naturally took his arm. She didn't care that Xiao Chenhui's arm was still covered with sweat from training. Who are Menz and Raiola? With a layer of hair, they are smarter than monkeys. The two immediately noticed the change in the relationship between Xiao Chenhui and Monica. No matter who got whom, in short, the relationship between the two is no longer a simple rumored relationship. The two super agents were relieved. Fortunately, I didn't offend the beautiful girl Monica just now. Otherwise, I might not even be able to drink coffee. It's better to be unable to sleep than to be rejected, right? What do you two gentlemen want to talk to me about this time? If it's the same thing as last time, I think I've made it very clear at the time. I have my own agent, and I don't want to change clubs. Xiao Chenhui's first sentence blocked the arguments that Menz and Raiola had been brewing for a long time. Menz picked up the coffee with some embarrassment. He said carefully, Xiao, you did say that last time, but after my observation, you don't seem to have an agent around you this season. Raiola showed his ability to find opportunities. He didn't avoid Menz beside him. He took out two drafted contracts directly from his briefcase. Xiao, I suggest you take a look at these two contracts first. These two are big contracts, and you will be very satisfied with the salary. Menz glanced at them with his eyes slanted. He saw that among the two contracts that Raiola took out, one was from Inter Milan and the other was from AC Milan. They were defeated by Xiao Chenhui in the Italian Cup one after another. These two declining Serie A giants obviously had a strong interest in Xiao Chenhui. Wanting to recruit Xiao Chenhui, Menz knew that he couldn't hold back any longer. Otherwise Xiao Chenhui would be poached by the damn fat man in front of him. He also took out two contracts. Menz advised earnestly, every choice of a professional player has a huge impact on his career. Xiao, you should make the choice that will help you the most, and you shouldn't just look at the salary. Of course, the club I choose for you will never treat you badly in terms of salary. One contract is from Juventus. The other contract is from Dortmund in the Bundesliga. As soon as the two contracts were handed out, Menz glanced at Raiola with a smug look. Although the two Milan giants are the traditional top 3 in Serie A, the situation of these two clubs in the past 2 years is quite embarrassing. This season, they are barely ranked in the middle of Serie A. They don't even qualify for the Champions League next season. On the other hand, Juventus and Dortmund are two teams. One is a strong team that has won the Serie A championship for 2 consecutive years. The other is a young army known for its youth storm. The attraction is much stronger than the two in Raiola's hands. What can Raiola use to compete with him? Menz thought that this time he had a sure win. He would definitely be able to win Xiao Chenhui with the two big contracts in his hands. You know, at the age of 18, he can get the favor of a wealthy team and get a contract with an annual salary of 8 million euros. That is not an easy thing. Many European golden boys don't have this treatment. Xiao Chenhui simply flipped through the 4 contracts in front of him. Turning to Monica who was leaning on him, he smiled. It's really generous. The lowest annual salary of 5 million euros, the highest of 8 million euros. Is it difficult for me to refuse? Compared with Xiao Chenhui's current weekly salary of 10,000 euros, the lowest annual salary in the 4 contracts is 10 times higher than that of Brescia. Monica didn't say anything. She just giggled. As a good wife, she would never take the initiative to interfere with Xiao Chenhui's major choices. No matter what Xiao Chenhui finally chose, she would only do her best to help him. Xiao Chenhui turned around and looked at the two super crocodiles in front of him. He slowly put down the contract in his hand. He said with a smile, but unfortunately, although I also want to choose one of them, my hands are not obedient, and I refuse to sign the contract. Men's and Rayola smiles froze instantly. What? Hands are not obedient? Can't sign. Are you doing this on purpose? We both came all the way here. Are we here to chat with you at night? Do you really think we are free? We are salty. Don't we drink more boiled water? Are we here to play with you? The two super crocodiles were silent. Xiao Chenhui patted his forehead gently. Oh, by the way, did I forget to tell you who my agent is last time? You said I don't have an agent with me this season. Actually, it's because my agent hasn't officially retired yet. But by next week at the latest, he will announce his retirement and become an agent. My agent is Mr. Andrea Pirlo. As soon as Xiao Chenhui said Pirlo's name, Men's and Rayola knew that they had no chance at all. Who is Pirlo? Italy's #1 midfielder master, a superstar with highly praised prestige and character. And who doesn't know that Pirlo's family is a local tycoon in Brescia? Pirlo is a genuine second-generation rich man. The money and connections in his hands are no worse than Men's and Rayola. More importantly, Xiao Chenhui is half of Pirlo's disciple. The relationship between the two is very strong. Men's and Rayola tied together can't compare to Pirlo's status in Xiao Chenhui's mind. With such an agent, do Men's and Rayola still need to run a contract for Xiao Chenhui? Xiao Chenhui wants to play for Juventus or AC Milan. It's just a matter of Pirlo's words. With Pirlo's relationship with Juventus and AC Milan, is an annual salary of 8 million euros high. 10 million is possible. It's ridiculous that Men's holding the contract of Juventus and Rayola holding the contract of AC Milan, ran to Xiao Chenhui to promote it. What's the point? It's really reckless. For the first time, the two super crocodiles felt inferior to a player. Gentlemen, do you need a refill? Monica pointed to the coffee cups in front of the two super crocodiles with a sweet smile that was so charming that it was impossible to pay for it. Refill? You can leave. The two super crocodiles stood up a little embarrassed and hurriedly said goodbye. Xiao Chenhui personally escorted them out of the room politely. Then he closed the door without hesitation. Men's and Rayola stood in the yard and looked at each other. They were disgusted with each other. It's all your fault. The two super crocodiles started fighting in unison the next second. The cash cow that can be seen with the naked eye is gone. Who wouldn't be angry? You have to find someone to vent your anger. So, it's you. Chapter 118 The Birth of Another Super Tycoon. 3 days after Men's and Rayola visited Xiao Chenhui, Pirlo held a press conference. Xiao Chenhui and other Brescia youngsters were all present. In addition, there was also the famous swinger Quagliarella who played for Juventus. The press conference officially began. Pirlo said something shocking. First of all, thank you all for taking the time to attend this press conference. The purpose of holding this press conference is actually very simple. This season is over. I have decided to officially retire and become an agent. In fact, it is the same as Kaká who left earlier. People who are well informed have already received the news that Pirlo is leaving. But no one thought that Pirlo would directly announce his retirement. No one could have guessed that he would actually become an agent. According to people's assumptions, Pirlo should withdraw from the mainstream league, go to the American Professional League or the Asian League to play his remaining heat. Why did he retire directly without a word when everyone was stunned? Monica asked the first question. Mr. Andrea, you are going to become an agent, so which players do you have under your management? Monica had already learned from Xiao Chenhui that Pirlo was an agent, so she didn't seem too surprised. Pirlo smiled into the microphone and said, there is no such thing as players under my management. I'm just a partner of the players, not their boss. I think in the process of cooperation, I can plan the future career path for my partners and get them a salary that matches their worth. The players you can see on the scene are all my partners. Of course there are some other players who are also my partners, but due to the different schedules of the leagues in various countries, they cannot come to this press conference. The reporters present were severely bombarded again. In view of the outstanding performance of the Brescia Demons this season, the value of each demon has increased to varying degrees, especially the king of demons Xiao Chenhui. It is said that his value has reached the level of tens of millions of euros. Who would have thought that Pirlo would recruit all these demons without showing off? A rough estimate. The net worth of these young players is probably tens of millions of euros. What's more, there is Quagliarella sitting next to him. Even if Quagliarella's net worth has shrunk with his age, it is far from what it used to be. But it is still worth tens of millions of euros. On the first day of Pirlo's transformation into an agent, he already had 2 football stars worth tens of millions of euros. Sharp people vaguely felt that another super crocodile was about to be born. Perhaps it won't be long before football agents will stage a good show of the Three Kingdoms. With Pirlo's character and influence in Italian football, as well as his wealthy family background, it seems that even Raiola, a local agent, can't compare to him. If Pirlo is given 3 to 5 years of development time, maybe the title of Italy's #1 agent will be transferred from Raiola to Pirlo. Give the reporters 2 minutes to digest it. Pirlo announced another thing. In addition, with the consent of Juventus Club, I hereby officially announce that one of my partners, Mr. Quagliarella, will officially transfer to Brescia for 3.5 million euros. Starting from next season, he will be a member of Brescia. Another heavy bomb. The reporters on the scene were dizzy. According to the original trajectory of history, Quagliarella, the player called Kua God by Dragon Country fans, did leave Juventus before the end of this season and the beginning of next season. But he was supposed to transfer to Turin for 3.5 million euros. Just because of the message that Xiao Chenhui sent to Inzaghi during his recovery. So he will wear Brescia's jersey next season. Quagliarella's performance in Juventus this season is not good. He only scored 1 goal in 17 appearances. But this is not because of his lack of ability. It is because the joining of Argentine star Tevez has greatly compressed Quagliarella's playing time. In most of the time, Quagliarella can only appear as a substitute. Fewer goals is inevitable. It is for this reason that Juventus agreed to Quagliarella's transfer application and let him go at an ultra-low price of 3.5 million euros. After all, in the eyes of Juventus's top management, the team no longer needs the elderly Quagliarella. It is also good to recover some of the transfer costs from him. Perhaps only Xiao Chenhui in the world knows. It is not without reason that Quagliarella is called Kua God by Longguo fans. He is a model of becoming more and more demonic. In the more than 7 years since leaving Juventus, Quagliarella has rejuvenated his career second spring. The number of Serie A goals in each season is more than 10. Even at the old age of 36, he scored 26 Serie A goals in one go. He won the Golden Boot of Serie A's top scorer for the first time. That's why Xiao Chenhui strongly recommended Quagliarella to Inzaghi. With Brescia's weak economic foundation, it is obviously unrealistic to acquire some big-name stars, not to mention stars worth tens of millions of euros. Even if it is 1 million euros, Brescia has to weigh its own wallet. Where can you find a good player like Quagliarella who is good and cheap? It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. What are you waiting for? If you don't sign him quickly, waiting for him to hit a new career high again, and then spending a lot of money to pursue him? Wouldn't that be stupid? The key is that by that time, Brescia can't afford it. Spend the least money and get the biggest gain. This is a way for small teams to survive. Who made Brescia poor? But no matter how poor it is, it has to consider the reality of next season. Brescia has a weak foundation. If it doesn't replace its guns with big guns, it will probably be eliminated in the first round of Serie A. It will be beaten back to its original state after one season. Moreover, Brescia won the Italian Cup and qualified for the UEFA Cup next season, which is the reformed Europa League. If the ammunition reserves are not sufficient, will it be embarrassing to travel around the world? The Europa League is not only held in Italy. Away games are played in other countries, competing with other top-ranked teams in other European countries. No matter how stingy the boss of Brescia is, he can't take the initiative to lose face abroad. Recruiting players has become something Brescia must do during the summer transfer window. For a player of Quagliarella's strength and price, as many as possible. It's never too much. But then again, signing a player worth tens of millions of euros at a bargain price of 3.5 million euros. I'm afraid this is the first time in Brescia's life that the boss has encountered this. It is estimated that it will be difficult to sign a second order in the future. It's hard to find him even with a lantern. Chapter 119. New and old demons are in place. After Quagliarella, within a week, Brescia made new moves. 6 players including Daniel Gastaldello, Catania, Jeremy Smal, Macha Viviani left the team one after another, bringing the team about €4 million in funds. Inzaghi applied for a transfer fee from the team owner again. Then he joined forces with Pirlo and signed dual contracts with several players. Pirlo had several more partners. Brescia also had several more powerful players. €1.5 million. Brought 31-year-old Diamanti from the Dragon Country Super League €2 million. Signed 20-year-old youngster Roberto Gagliardini from Cesena in Serie B €1.4 million. Rafael Guerrero from Keene in Ligue 2 was in place. He was only 21 years old. €2.2 million. 24-year-old Mario Fernandez from the Russian Super League came to Brescia. €1 million. 20-year-old potential player Daniel Rugani transferred from Serie B Empoli. Also signed the Flanders goalkeeper Jess Joranen, whose contract expired, for free. No money spent. Plus the 20-year-old goalkeeper Alessio Cragno, who was promoted from the youth team. Also no money spent. The joining of 7 new players only spent more than €8 million, including Quagliarella's transfer fee. It's just a little over 10 million. This money can't cause any waves in the transfer market, but in the hands of Pirlo and Inzaghi, it has quietly improved Brescia's strength by a lot. Didn't you see the team owner Saleno holding his heart and coming to the team with a pain in his heart? In the end, after just watching a training match, he left happily with a grin. Before leaving, he also praised Inzaghi and Xiao Chenhui. Why? Because these new players are strong. No worse than those players who cost millions. The money spent was not wasted. As a shrewd businessman, Saleno only cares about benefits. Buying players is actually an investment. The better the results next season, the greater his income will be. If he can make it to the top 16 of the Europa League, how many €10 million will he earn back? In fact, if Brescia had not won 2 championships and won a large amount of bonuses and had the qualification to participate in the Europa League next season, Saleno would not have agreed to Inzaghi's request for funds. As a result, he never dreamed that he would spend only a little over 10 million, and the team's strength has increased significantly. It's so gratifying. Spend a little money and do a big thing. No problem. The boss was happy. He directly raised the salary of Xiao Chenhui, who proposed the purchase suggestion. The weekly salary increased from €10,000 to €20,000. In total, the annual salary can reach €1.05 million. It is the same as Quagliarella, the current top salary in the team. Inzaghi was speechless. Xiao Chenhui performed so well this season. He almost carried the team forward by himself. Inzaghi repeatedly asked Saleno to give Xiao Chenhui a salary increase. The old stingy guys didn't react at all. Just because a purchase of players saved the old stingy guys a lot of money. A salary increase? Do you have to be so straightforward? Besides, as the head coach, I have also made a lot of efforts in the purchase of players. Why don't you increase my salary as well? Even if it's a €1,000 increase, it will be fine. Really stingy. But it should be said, Inzaghi is quite satisfied with the new players. Judging from several training matches, they are really awesome. The old ones are still strong and powerful. The young ones have good potential and are full of energy. The old players have given the young ones rich combat experience. The young ones have brought the old players vigorous vitality. The chemical reaction produced by the combination of the old and the new is by no means as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. But Inzaghi couldn't figure it out. How did Xiao Chenhui find these treasures? It would be fine if he was familiar with Gagliardini and Rugani from Serie B. He also followed Fernandez from the Russian Premier League and Guerrero from Ligue 2. His knowledge is too diverse. Could it be that he evolved automatically again? Should I let him evolve for a while? As the head coach, I have to give him a position. Inzaghi turned his head and looked at the live animal with a puzzled mind. He saw that he had become one with the new players. Just like half-brothers who had not seen each other for many years. Of course, Inzaghi didn't know. Xiao Chenhui was actually very happy. The second main task released by the system is to win the Serie B and Serie A championships. At the same time, win the Serie B Golden Boot and Serie A Golden Boot. The first half of the goal has been completed. But the second half is obviously more difficult. It is difficult to complete without a strong helper. So during the time when Xiao Chenhui was recovering from his injury, he began to actively work on building the lineup for next season. Although the list he listed was not all in place, considering Brescia's financial strength and the boss's stinginess, this result is already good. Quagliarella, who is becoming more and more evil, has the attributes of an evil man. He has greatly enriched the changes in the front line. The double forwards formed by him and Berardi will give Xiao Chenhui the greatest firepower support. In the midfield position, Diamanti, who started high and ended low in the Dragon Country Super League last season, is actually quite capable. 4 goals and 9 assists in 24 league games, 4 goals and 3 assists in 9 Asian Champions League games. Although such data did not meet the expectations of Dragon Country fans, considering the cultural differences between Dragon Country and Italy, football game styles and many other factors, it cannot be said that the performance was bad. It's just that the transfer price of €6.9 million was not paid. That's why it was put on the transfer market at a low price. Brescia picked up a bargain. In history, Diamanti left Dragon Country. He has played for many teams in Serie A and Serie B. He has performed well. Later, he also went to play in the Australian Super League. He helped the team win the Australian Super League Championship. This proves that Diamanti also has the attribute of getting better with age. He is more suitable for playing for the middle and lower teams in Serie A compared with Diamanti's long career. Roberto Baggio, who plays as a defensive midfielder, is just starting out. He played 19 games in Cesena this season and scored his first goal. Gagliardini is energetic and strong. He has good endurance. He covers a wide range in the position of defensive midfielder. The back line and the midfield are closely connected. He can distribute the ball and organize the attack. He can also move to the wing to help the team gain an advantage on the wing. He can also form the team's passing chain or put pressure on the opponent to regain the ball. Moreover, he has a natural advantage in competing for high balls at a height of 188. He is strong and flexible with a weight of 77 kilograms. He is good at moving up in advance based on his awareness and ball path prediction, which also gives him the ability to intercept on the ground. With a little training, he will be an excellent midfield commander. It is no wonder that Inter Milan, eager to embark on the road of revival, will buy out Gagliardini's ownership for €22 million 3 years later. 2 of the 3 new players on the back line are from the second division. 1 is from the Russian Premier League. It sounds like there is no strength. In fact, it is not the case. Rafael Guerrero's biggest feature is his extremely fast speed. His ability to cross from the wing and cut inside is superior. Passing and overall view are also one of his advantages. He also has a long-range shot skill in the ribs of the penalty area. He has obvious attributes of a knife-carrying defender. When he needs to insert from the back row, he can go up. When he needs to retreat to defend, he can take it back. In the previous life, Dortmund bought him at the age of 24, and it cost €11 million, which is already very telling. Another fullback, Mario Fernandes, is a Samba player. But there is no place for him in the Samba country with a lot of talents. So he moved to Russia. In the 2 years of playing in the Russian Premier League, his style of play was influenced by the fighting nation. In the original gorgeous style, there is a tough element. Timely tackling, accurate positioning, fierce blocking, and active assists. These are his labels. He constantly reminds the opponent's forward with his actions, "This is my territory." Later in the 18th World Cup, Mario Fernandes shined. He became a new star that attracted worldwide attention. His value soared to €16.5 million. Another defender, Daniel Rugani, is also amazing. With almost no experience in Serie A games, he was bought out by Juventus at a high price of €5 million in 2015. He became Juventus' main substitute central defender. It is not an exaggeration to call him a magical boy. He has good header skills. He has outstanding performances on both offense and defense. His strong body and excellent sense of position allow him to use tactical running to block the opponent's route. What's more, Rugani's girlfriend Michela is a sports anchor. She is a good friend of Monica who can talk about anything. This made the distance between Xiao Chenhui and Rugani disappear quickly, even though he had been severely ravaged by Xiao Chenhui on the field. As for the free signing of Finland goalkeeper Jorinen and Kragno, who was promoted from the youth team, they will become and Rennes's competitors and helpers. Assistant Rennes to jointly guard Brescia's goal. Become an important rotation player in the long season. In short, all kinds of long guns and short guns are in place. Brescia is ready to go to war. Chapter 120, signing the contract. After Brescia's new and old monsters practiced together for a week, this season is completely over. Everyone will enter a month-long vacation period. Relax yourself. As for other clubs around the world, what kind of storms will be set off in the transfer market? It has nothing to do with them. Brescia's lineup for next season has been announced in advance. There is no need to pay attention to the transfer market. But Pirlo's work is not over yet. In Xiao Chenhui and Monica's home together, Pirlo sat on the sofa worriedly. He took out a pile of documents and handed them to Xiao Chenhui. Here, these are all endorsement contracts sent by Longguo. I have screened them for you 3 times and eliminated some endorsements you don't want to take. But for the rest, you need to make your own decisions. A good agent will not interfere with the player's own choices, whether on or off the court. People like Raiola who want to get involved in everything are nothing more than using players as chips to make money. Xiao Chenhui smiled and pushed all the contracts aside. Then he took a contract from Monica and handed it to Pirlo. Mr. Andrea, before discussing other contracts, I want to sign this agent contract with you first. Pirlo was slightly stunned. Then he reacted. It seems that he has been working for Xiao Chenhui for so long. He hasn't signed a contract with this kid yet. The cooperation between the two is just a preliminary verbal agreement. It is estimated that, if Xiao Chenhui does not take the initiative to mention it, Pirlo will forget about it. However, Pirlo's character can also be seen from this aspect. Perhaps when cooperating with other players, Pirlo will pay attention to the spirit of contract. The first step is to sign a cooperation contract. But for Xiao Chenhui, Pirlo has always regarded him as a close friend and a direct disciple. Naturally, he ignored the contract. He ran errands for Xiao Chenhui for free, and he ran very hard. Open the contract. Pirlo took a quick look. Then he picked up a pen and changed a number on the contract. Then he signed his name on the original contract. Xiao Chenhui offered a commission of 10%. According to the commission standard of the agent industry, 10% is already the top salary. It includes the player's salary, bonus, image rights, endorsement fees, etc. No matter how much money the player earns, he must pay the agent a commission of 10%. The charging standard of the two super crocodiles Menz and Raiola is 10%. What Pirlo just modified was the percentage of the commission. He changed his 10% to 3%. It is basically the lowest standard in the industry. Xiao Chenhui saw that Pirlo changed this number. Just as he was about to speak, Pirlo smiled and said, "What? Do you have no confidence in yourself or in me? I can guarantee that within 5 years, even if it is only 3% of the commission, it will be an astronomical figure. It is far more than the 10% or even 20% commission of ordinary players." At this point, Xiao Chenhui knew that Pirlo was unwilling to increase the commission ratio. If Xiao Chenhui still insisted, it would be a bit vulgar. How could the relationship between him and Pirlo be measured by money? So Xiao Chenhui no longer insisted. He picked up the pen and quickly wrote the 3 Chinese characters Xiao Chenhui on the contract. If he was slower, Pirlo might have changed 3 to 1. A 10-year contract. The two parties completed it in less than 5 minutes. The unconcealed trust in each other was the solid foundation for reaching a consensus so quickly. Okay, we are done. Now it's your turn to make a choice. Pirlo put away his agent contract and pushed the endorsement contract from Longguo to Xiao Chenhui again. This season, he helped Brescia win the Serie B and Italian Cup double championships. Xiao Chenhui himself won 2 golden boots for the best scorer in one go. He also broke the Guinness World Record for the longest shot, especially when playing against Inter Milan and AC Milan. Crushed the 2 small nests of Nagatomo Yuto and Honda Kisuke. All these factors combined, Xiao Chenhui has a very high popularity in Longguo. It is no less than the top big stars. Conservative estimates. There are more than 500,000 members in his fan support group alone. The other fans and fans added together, I'm afraid it is not tens of millions. There is no way. Who let Longguo produce a person like Xiao Chenhui who can stand in Europe? If there is a second one, he will not be so popular. Xiao Chenhui reached out and took the 5 contracts. He read them one by one. Born in a business family, he read the endorsement contract, which is as simple as adding and subtracting 10-digit numbers for elementary school students. Looking at it, Xiao Chenhui's brows suddenly frowned slightly. He took out one of the contracts. Forget about this company. I don't want to endorse them for the time being. Pelé nodded slightly. He did not agree with Xiao Chenhui to take all 5 endorsements. Because since it is an endorsement, it takes time to shoot commercials and so on. It is also necessary to cooperate with the endorsement company to carry out regular promotional activities. 1 or 2 endorsements are acceptable. If there are more endorsements, it is bound to affect Xiao Chenhui's training. Running back and forth between Longguo and Italy will also affect his competitive state. The gain does not make up for the loss. Many young players have just become famous, and they can't wait to get all the endorsements in the world in one go. As a result, the money is earned, but the competitive state is gone. The skills are not improved but regressed, and eventually they are lost in the crowd. Such examples are countless. Pelé naturally does not want Xiao Chenhui to be one of them. But now it seems that Xiao Chenhui actually knows a lot in his mind. He will never abandon his own training for the sake of temporary interests. He sees more clearly than most young players who become famous. But agreeing is agreeing. Seeing Xiao Chenhui handing over the contract from Hantang Group, Pelé is fulfilling his duties as an agent. Kindly reminded, Xiao, I have done preliminary research. This Hantang Group ranks 11th among the top 500 companies in your dragon country and advocates the development of science and technology. The reputation and credibility are absolutely first class, and it is the strongest and most influential of the 5 companies. Are you really not going to consider it again? Xiao Chenhui shook his head slowly and firmly. No, I won't consider this company until some things are resolved. Seeing Xiao Chenhui so determined, Pelé had to put away the contract and put it back in his briefcase. He did not ask Xiao Chenhui why he did not choose this company, because he knew very well. Since Xiao Chenhui insisted so much, there must be a reason for insisting. In the end, Xiao Chenhui only chose 2 of the 5 companies' endorsement contracts, Huawei and Jelly. After all, the products of these 2 companies are praised as the light of domestic products. It is the same idea as Hantang Group's development of science and technology. After all, we have to support domestic products. The endorsement period of the 2 contracts is 2 years. The endorsement fee is 3 million dragon country currency per year. After the contract takes effect, the money will be transferred to Xiao Chenhui's personal account in one lump sum. If it weren't for the fact that he and Duan Zuan had agreed to work together on youth training, which would require a lot of money, Xiao Chenhui wouldn't even choose an endorsement. He is a professional player, not a star. He just needs to play well. Why would he have the time to talk about these nonsense? Chapter 121 Return to Dragon Country. 2 days later, Pelé finalized the contract details with the 2 Dragon Country companies, Huawei and Jelly. The first year's endorsement fee has been remitted to Xiao Chenhui's personal account 6 million dragon country currency. According to the agreement in the contract, Xiao Chenhui will set off to return to China. In the next few days, he will cooperate with the 2 companies to shoot some endorsement advertisements. Anyway, the season has entered a long vacation period. At this time of year, Xiao Chenhui will go home to visit his father during the summer vacation. If he doesn't go back this year, his father will probably dig deep into the matter. There must be something wrong when things are abnormal. Xiao Chenhui really doesn't have the confidence to hide it from his shrewd father. That night, Xiao Chenhui began to pack his bags. He took off the sportswear he wore all year round and changed into a fresh student outfit. The big demon king who galloped on the court turned into a young man again. Monica helped Xiao Chenhui pack his things while complaining with a resentful look. Darling, are you really not going to take me with you to Longguo? Can you bear to leave me alone at home and let me stay alone in an empty room? Xiao Chenhui covered his forehead in pain. Sister, can you be a little more restrained? You have asked me this question for the 19th time. Didn't I say it? My family doesn't know that I play in the professional league yet. I must solve this problem when I go back this time. It's not convenient to take you with me. Besides, I still have advertising shooting work when I return to Longguo. It's not like I'm going to be free and easy. Why do you have to suffer with me? Monica flashed a pair of fatal big eyes of Carmen. Her eyes were shining. Tears were about to flow down. This time she was not pretending. She really couldn't bear to leave Xiao Chenhui. She didn't feel anything when they were together every day. Now they suddenly had to be separated for a while. Monica felt that she was about to collapse. This kind of inseparable feeling. She had never appeared in her emotional changes. It was the first time in history. Even she herself couldn't figure out when she became so attached to Xiao Chenhui. Alas, I was defeated by you. I promise, as soon as the domestic affairs are over, I will fly back to accompany you. Okay. Xiao Chenhui really couldn't bear it. He sat next to Monica and comforted her softly. Monica was actually not an ignorant person. Otherwise, how could she be so successful in the journalist circle? After Xiao Chenhui's comfort, her mood improved a lot. She stretched out her hands and wrapped them around Xiao Chenhui's neck. Then you have to promise to call me every day, not a day less. Feeling the familiar fragrance emanating from Monica's body, Xiao Chenhui nodded. Okay, one call every day, not a day less. Monica looked at Xiao Chenhui's sincere and clear eyes from a close distance. She took the initiative to give him a kiss as a parting gift. A short separation is better than a new marriage. Facts have proved that the words of the ancients still make sense. Early the next morning, Monica got up early and prepared a loving breakfast. She is now very skilled at boiling chicken breasts and eggs. When Xiao Chenhui returned home, after running 10 kilometers outside, Monica accompanied him to finish breakfast. Then she drove Xiao Chenhui to the airport in person. Although Xiao Chenhui's weekly salary has increased to 20,000 euros, he has not bought a car yet. For long distance trips, he either takes the team bus or Monica's luxury car. It took a full half an hour to say goodbye. Xiao Chenhui boarded the flight with a simple travel bag. Polo had been sitting here waiting for him. Seeing Xiao Chenhui finally boarded the plane, Polo smiled and teased. What? Have you completed the farewell ceremony with your girlfriend? Xiao Chenhui was not in a good mood. He just said casually as an answer. When the separation really came, he was a little reluctant. As a person who has been through it, Polo certainly knows that separation is not pleasant. In order to cheer up Xiao Chenhui, he racked his brains to come up with a good excuse to change the subject. Hey, Xiao, tell me the truth. Did you guys do that? Xiao Chenhui turned his head to look at Polo. Confused. What is that? Polo winked and smiled. It's that. Don't tell me you are still a pure and innocent boy. Xiao Chenhui immediately turned his face to the direction where he could not see Polo's face. You are disrespectful to the elderly. Really? Xiao? You are really a virgin? I don't want to talk to you. Oh my god. Do you need me to guide you? Can you be quiet for a while? Hey, don't be embarrassed. Let me tell you, most young men who have just entered the bridal chamber are like you. They know what to do, but have no idea how to do it. It's normal to be red in the face and flustered, and it's also normal to be tired and sweating, but still not find the way. Who hasn't done this before? Steward, please let this wretched gentleman next to me shut up. It's so annoying. Hey, boy, isn't it the dragon country that values respecting teachers the most? You actually want to betray your teachers and ancestors? Master, let me show my filial piety to you and upgrade your cabin. Would you like to sit in the first class for a while? Disciple, this is already first class. Where else do you want to be upgraded? Do you want me, your master, to sit on the top of the plane and drink the wind? The master and disciple spent a full 10 hours, discussed some topics that were meaningless, then turned around and looked. We have arrived in Dragon Country. Blue sky, white clouds, green water and green mountains. Relaxed and happy. Polo, who got off the plane, couldn't help but sigh. The environment in Dragon Country is still good, and people can't help but indulge in it. Xiao Chenhui's sadness of parting was cured by Polo's nagging therapy on the way to the flight. Now returning to the motherland, stepping on this ancient land with both feet, his heart is only excited. Dragon Country is the most beautiful place, no one else. In his heart, Although there are many things in Dragon Country that make people feel upset. For example, the confused pig association. For example, those big names who walk around the field and defend with their eyes. But the flaws do not cover the merits. What he has always loved in his heart and will always love deeply is the majestic mountains and rivers of Dragon Country. The two side walked out along the airport corridor. Just reached the end of the corridor. Then I saw a huge crowd of people standing outside. A scream broke the tranquility of the airport. Xiao Chenhui, I love you. I must marry you. This scream came from an unknown young girl. It was like lighting the fuse of a bomb. It quickly set off the whole place. Wow. It's really Brother Hui. Brother Hui is back. Chenhui, you are the best. Chenhui, you are the strongest. Invincible. Brother Hui, yides. All the fans of Shanghai are here to report. The king of all monsters, unparalleled in the world. The fans of Shanghai are here to welcome you. When Brother Hui comes out, who will compete with him? The fans of Chengdu greet Brother Hui. Brother Hui, the Monster King, has boundless magic power, will rule the world for thousands of years. The disciples of the fans of Guangzhou wish Brother Hui success in literature and martial arts, and a long life. Shouts of various local accents and decibels were mixed together. Finally, it converged into the ballad that often sounded in the Apennine Stadium. You are our Xiao Chenhui. I can never love you enough. The wine-chasing boy pierces the heart of the opponent. Light up the fire of Dragon Country football. Fire, 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 fire. Xiao Chenhui was stunned on the spot. It was just quite sudden. He knew that he was very popular in China. But he didn't expect to be so popular. Didn't see a top star who took the same flight back to China with him and asked the more than 20 bodyguards around him with a confused face. Who is this? He is more popular than me? How is it possible? This is not scientific. Absolutely not scientific. Scientific and unscientific. Anyway, this big star tasted the taste of being ignored for the first time. Because of the crowds of people outside the passage. They didn't even see him. What's a big star? We are here to welcome Brother Hui back to the court. Chapter 122 Ma Fanshu comes to the rescue. Xiao Chenhui and Pelé stood blankly in front of the airport passage. They were stunned for a full minute. Then, they turned around and ran. The fans who came to pick them up were too enthusiastic. If they didn't run, they would be drowned by the crowd. Oh my god. Xiao, the fans of you Dragon Country are too enthusiastic. Pelé ran inside with emotion. Is the atmosphere of the Milan derby hot? Is the home stadium of Juventus hot? But compared with the fans of Dragon Country, it's just a small fight. For the first time, Pelé regretted why he was not a speed player. At least in this situation, he could run faster. Didn't you see that Xiao Chenhui, the kid who betrayed his teacher and ancestors, ran ahead of him? Xiao Chenhui, who was running in front, turned back and angrily said, isn't it because you didn't keep it secret? How did the fans know I was coming back today? Pelé admitted his fear. Well, I didn't expect the fans in Dragon Country to be so enthusiastic. They released your flight schedule in advance with a trembling hand. Xiao Chenhui stopped. What? You took the initiative to release it? I shouldn't have dragged you along just now. Leave you to those fans and let them strip you naked. Pelé felt a little aggrieved. Isn't this also a job requirement for me? I thought I could help you increase your popularity during your commercial shooting. But who would have thought that you didn't need to increase your popularity at all? Cultural differences caused Pelé's hands to tremble. In Italy, winning the Serie B and Italian Cup double championships is really nothing. At most, it will be a few days of excitement. As a qualified agent, in Italy, of course, he had to find a way to keep his players popular. But how could he have imagined that it would cause such a huge wave in Dragon Country? Just like Xiao Chenhui is the key man of the Champions League. Too popular. The surprise turned directly into a shock. If Xiao Chenhui dared to walk out of the airport passage, he would probably be stripped naked by the fanatical fans in minutes. He couldn't even keep his underwear. This is not the most important thing. The main thing is that there are too many fans coming to the airport. It is easy to cause a stampede. Xiao Chenhui dare not really go out and cause chaos. What if a fan gets injured? In that case, Xiao Chenhui will become a sinner. In the final analysis. After all, Pelé is a first-time agent. There is still some lack of experience in handling some things. The degree of popularity of Xiao Chenhui in Longguo was seriously underestimated. This is the price of shaking hands. During the embarrassing escape of the master and apprentice, a soft voice suddenly sounded, Xiao. Here. Xiao Chenhui turned his head and looked. A familiar and charming face came into his eyes. Ma Fanshu. Fanshu, why are you here? Xiao Chenhui walked up happily. Ma Fanshu smiled sweetly. When teacher Duan Zuan and I saw the news that you were going back to China, we knew that you would not be able to leave the airport, so I came to rescue you. As he said that, Ma Fanshu took out a complete set of equipment from his backpack. Hats, masks, sunglasses, everything. 2 minutes later, Xiao Chenhui was fully armed. His face was covered by 99%. Almost, that's it. Ma Fanshu stopped with satisfaction. He smiled and patted Xiao Chenhui's shoulder. With her tall figure, she only needed to tiptoe a little to reach Xiao Chenhui's shoulder. Xiao Chenhui and Pelé finally breathed a sigh of relief. Following Ma Fanshu, they quietly walked from another passage. Don't worry, teacher Duan Zuan will drive and wait outside the VIP passage in person, and will not alarm the fans. Ma Fanshu smiled back playfully. Not to mention Bai Misheng. It is also very pleasing to the eye. Pelé couldn't help but sigh inwardly. What kind of luck does this boy have in love? He has Monica in Italy, and Ma Fanshu in Dragon Country. They are all top beauties who can charm the whole city with a smile. Why didn't the teacher have this good luck when he was young? God is too kind to this bad boy. Walking out of the long VIP passage, Duan Zuan was waiting outside as expected. The car was not turned off at all. Waiting for Xiao Chenhui and the others to get in the car, Duan Zuan stepped on the accelerator to the bottom. He drove away quickly. The fans are not so easy to deal with. If Xiao Chenhui can't be found in the front passage, he will probably come here soon. It's better to get away quickly. In the car, Duan Zuan smiled and turned around and said, Xiao, if I were you, I would immediately post a Weibo or something to comfort the fans and guide them to disperse in an orderly manner. Xiao Chenhui slapped his forehead. That makes sense. Brother Zuan is still experienced. The fans waited for several hours at the airport. As a result, Xiao Chenhui retreated as soon as he appeared. If he didn't give the fans an explanation, it would probably cause public outrage. Besides, with so many people gathered together, accidents could easily happen. As a public figure, Xiao Chenhui really needed to guide the fans to evacuate safely. Let me do it. Ma Fanshu smiled and took out his laptop. He placed the laptop on his thin, white, and long thighs. 10 slender fingers began to tap. Soon, a text in the name of Xiao Chenhui appeared on major online platforms. There were 3 main points. First, to apologize to the fans. Second, to thank the fans for their support. Third, to persuade the fans to leave in an orderly and safe manner. The dragon people value face. The fans gave Xiao Chenhui enough face. Of course, he had to give the fans the same feedback. After the fans gathered near the airport saw this short article, although they were unwilling, they had nothing to complain about. They dispersed in 2s and 3s. There was no stampede or other incidents. Pelé sat in the car with some fear. He sighed in shock. The number of Dragon Country fans is really too huge, and their enthusiasm is really too high. Xiao Chenhui and Ma Fanshu looked at Pelé at the same time. They said in unison, we Dragon Country people treat our friends as hot as summer. Pelé ate a handful of dog food fiercely. Do you have to be so tacit? I'm speechless. I was defeated by you. Looking at Pelé's face with a look of despair in the rearview mirror, Duan Zuan laughed unscrupulously. During the driving process of the car, several super luxurious business cars came up. They surrounded Duan Zuan's car silently in the middle. Pelé didn't care about eating dog food. He murmured in shock, what's going on? Are you filming a movie? Duan Zuan was also a little at a loss. He didn't know where to drive the car. Only Ma Fanshu seemed to understand something. He looked at Xiao Chenhui with a weird look. Xiao Chenhui sighed and said, forget it. Some things will eventually come. You can't avoid them. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 123. Overbearing President Xiao Han. Duan Zuan parked the car in a safe parking space on the side of the road. Xiao Chenhui opened the door first and got out of the car. He looked at the business cars that followed with complicated eyes. Under his gaze, the luxury business cars that followed all the way also stopped. The electric doors opened. One by one, burly men in black business suits walked to both sides of the road. They stood in two neat rows. A straight passage was left in the middle. At the end of the passage was a business car door that had not been opened. And this end was the direction of Xiao Chenhui. The Matrix? Gangster? Or the Mafia? Perlo looked at the scene in front of him in surprise. He reached into his pocket and touched his mobile phone. His family is also very important in Italy. The richest man in Brescia. Although the scene in front of him surprised him, it was not enough to scare him. Whose family doesn't have a powerful background? A cloud-piercing arrow. Thousands of troops came to meet. But just when Perlo was about to take out his mobile phone, all of those burly men suddenly bowed to Xiao Chenhui. Young master, what's going on? Are these people from Xiao Chenhui's family? Perlo and Duan Zuan looked at each other. They saw that each other's eyes were filled with the same shock as their own. Footsteps sounded. A middle-aged man dressed casually and with a burly figure walked over. He stood in front of Xiao Chenhui. His face was angular. A closer look showed that he was 70% or 80% similar to Xiao Chenhui. Or rather, Xiao Chenhui looked a lot like him. You can tell at a glance that Xiao Chenhui is his descendant. Not only are their looks similar, but their demeanors are also very similar. The stubbornness in their bodies is even more similar. The two people who looked similar stared at each other silently for a minute. No one spoke. It was like two top swordsmen living in the era of knights fighting on the top of the Forbidden City. A solemn atmosphere enveloped the space of several meters in radius. Finally, the middle-aged man broke the silence first. The solemn atmosphere around him faded a lot. Are you back? Xiao Chenhui nodded slightly. Yes, father. That's right. The middle-aged man in front of him is Xiao Chenhui's father. Xiao Han, the president of Hantang Group, which ranks 11th among Longguo enterprises. You should know that Longguo is very Longguo style. The top 10 companies are all state-owned. The 11th is equivalent to Nanboan in private enterprises. Xiao Chenhui's father Xiao Han is ranked 7th among the top 100 richest people in Longguo, 55th in the world. I heard that you finally chose the path of football? Xiao Han's eyes suddenly became much sharper. Xiao Chenhui raised his head and looked at his father. His tone was still firm. Yes, father. Then there was another minute of silence. It seems that the communication between the father and son is always so simple and rough. Perlo was a little confused. Why is this? Obviously on the plane flying to Longguo, Xiao Chenhui can argue with him for 10 hours on a topic without any nutrition. Why did he remain silent in front of his father? I heard that you rejected the endorsement contract with the group. Xiao Han changed the subject and broke the silence again. Xiao Chenhui's answer was as concise as always. Yes, father. Xiao Han suddenly smiled. It sounds like your mother's style. Hearing his father mention his mother, Xiao Chenhui's face finally changed. A scene 3 years ago appeared in his mind. At that time, Xiao Chenhui had just graduated from elementary school. He was madly obsessed with the sport of football. He signed up for a children's football training class in the summer vacation. His mother Tang Shi drove him to the training in person and then picked him up home when it was dark. On the day when the summer training class ended, Tang Shi, who had been busy all day, drove to pick up her son again despite her fatigue. But halfway on the way, an accident happened. A whirring truck hit Tang Shi's car. Tang Shi was sent to the best local hospital. But the car accident was too tragic. Tang Shi had been assisting her husband Xiao Han in handling the business of the Hantang Group for many years. She was overdrawn severely and eventually failed to be rescued. When the young Xiao Chenhui rushed to the hospital, he only saw his mother's peaceful but cold face. He remembered it very clearly. That night, his father, who was always strategizing and winning battles from afar, seemed to have changed into a different person. He threw all of Xiao Chenhui's football-related things out of the window like a madman. He roared and warned Xiao Chenhui that he was never allowed to touch football again. The relationship between the father and son also changed since that night, and they became more and more distant. So much so that later, at a young age, Xiao Chenhui went to the most famous Morbegno middle school in Italy. He completed his secondary school studies there. Go home. Xiao Han turned and walked towards the business car. He had no intention of discussing with Xiao Chenhui at all. After walking 2 steps, he suddenly stopped again. Invite your friends to our house to sit down. After that, Xiao Han did not stop. He walked straight back to the business car. The 2 rows of burly men were like the tide flowing back. Hula, they all retreated at once. They were like well-trained special forces. The scene was extremely shocking. Even Pelé, who was used to big scenes, was shocked. He said with sincere emotion, "Xiao, your family is really rich." Xiao Chenhui turned around and corrected, "My father is rich. It has nothing to do with me." Pelé shrugged helplessly, "Okay, just pretend I didn't say anything." Several people got back in the car. Xiao Chenhui remained silent. Ma Fanchu had to take the initiative to take on the task of guiding Duan Zuan. He guided Duan Zuan to drive to Xiao Chenhui's home. His home is a beautiful manor. Just from the entrance of the manor to the villa in the center, Duan Zuan drove for 15 minutes. Several people got out of the car and walked into the villa with the characteristics of Dragon Country. The decoration inside is antique. Every piece of furnishing looks very elegant. Ma Fanchu explained to Pelé and Duan Zuan, who were here for the first time, in a low voice, every blade of grass, and every tree in the manor, and all the furnishings in the villa, were arranged by Aunt Tang herself. For so many years, Uncle Xiao has never been willing to replace anything. He said he was explaining to them. In fact, Ma Fanchu also deliberately wanted Xiao Chenhui to hear it. The relationship between them was too stiff. Many misunderstandings arose because of this. The only topic that could coexist peacefully was Xiao Chenhui's mother Tangxi. Ma Fanchu deliberately said this to ease the relationship between them. Brothers fight tigers together. Fathers and sons fight in battle. What can't be let go or solved between father and son? There was no trace of Xiao Han in the villa. Obviously, he did not go home. Instead, he went to work in the company again. Xiao Chenhui looked at the familiar, empty and cold home in front of him. Unconsciously, the corners of his eyes gradually became wet. 3 years ago, when his mother was still there, the house was full of laughter. But now, everything has changed. Chapter 124, Changes brought by a transcript. At 10 o'clock in the evening, Xiao Han finally finished his work for the day and returned home. Xiao Chenhui was sitting alone on the sofa in the living room waiting for him. Pelé and others had already been arranged to rest in the guest room. On the coffee table in front of the sofa was a cup of steaming Westlake Longjing tea. Xiao Chenhui remembered that this was the favorite tea of his father and mother. Xiao Han came over and sat on the sofa. He glanced at the Longjing tea in front of him and said slowly, "You still remember that I love to drink it?" Xiao Chenhui nodded. "I still remember a lot of things, including my promise to my mother." When his mother sent Xiao Chenhui to the children's football training field for the last time before her death, the young Xiao Chenhui sat in the car and vowed to his mother, "Mom, I will definitely become the best football player in the world in the future." Mother Tangxi showed a gentle smile. "Mom knows that Xiao can definitely do it. Mom is waiting for the day when you become the world's #1 football player." This was the last conversation between mother and son. After that, they were separated by heaven and earth. They could never meet again. So Xiao Chenhui would not give up his promise to his mother. He resolutely embarked on the road of football. High intensity training every day, and the style of never giving up on the field. All for the sake of fulfilling the original promise. He must become the best football player in the world. No one can stop him from moving forward. In the last life, Xiao Chenhui compromised with his father. In this new life, he will never compromise again. Xiao Han took the teacup and took a sip. "So, you are going to stick to it?" Xiao Chenhui did not hesitate. He nodded firmly. The reason why he waited until late at night was to make things clear with his father. The path of football was his own choice. he would definitely go on unswervingly. Xiao Han put down the teacup. He looked at his son with sharp eyes. I've told you countless times, putting aside your mother's reasons, the domestic football system is deficient. The various systems are imperfect. The Asian race's physical conditions are inherently deficient. The world football world does not pay attention to dragon players. These realistic factors are all difficulties you can never overcome. Under internal and external troubles, even if you work 10 times harder than European players, you may not get what you want. It's good to have a goal in life, but the premise is that the goal you set must be correct. Otherwise, you will only go further and further on the wrong path. After his father finished speaking, Xiao Chenhui took out a report card from his pocket, put it on the coffee table. Father, I know you value academics. This is my transcript from Morbegno High School. I didn't delay my studies because of playing football. I also know that you hope I can follow the path you pioneered and realize the great cause of rejuvenating the country through science and technology. But that's what you want. What I want is just a promise I made to my mother. I promise that in the days to come, I will also complete the corresponding studies and get the degree I deserve. Before that, please let me continue to persevere. From high school to getting a degree, it took at least 8 years. Xiao Chenhui wanted to use these 8 years to prove himself and change his father's inherent views. Xiao Han's fingers touched the transcript. He said mercilessly, you want to use a few years to change the chronic disease-ridden dragon country football. It's ridiculous. However, the next moment, when Xiao Han saw the excellent plus on the transcript, he suddenly realized that his son might not be a whim. In the intensive schedule of the professional league, Xiao Chenhui still got excellent plus for all his scores. It means that he has paid much more than expected. You can't do two things at once. Xiao Chenhui won the Golden Boot for the best scorer in Serie B at the same time. He got excellent grades in all subjects. The hard work he put in can be imagined. He is his son after all. In him, Xiao Han saw the desperate fighting spirit when he was young. This brat. He is really his own son. He didn't learn what he should learn. Instead, he learned his stubbornness to the fullest. Silence. A long silence. 10 minutes passed. Xiao Han finally put down the report card in his hand. I will only give you 3 years. If you can't make a name for yourself within 3 years, or if any of your grades fall below excellent, you will get back here immediately. Start from sweeping the floor and doing odd jobs at the lowest level of the group. Hearing that his father's tone had taken a 180-degree turn, reluctantly agreeing to let him continue to play in the professional league, Xiao Chenhui was so happy that he almost jumped up from the sofa. Originally, he thought he would have to persuade his father for a whole summer. Maybe he could achieve his goal. Unexpectedly, he convinced his father in just one conversation. This was an unexpected surprise that he never dreamed of. Looking at Xiao Chenhui's cheering expression, Xiao Han did not forget to pour a bucket of cold water on his head. You don't have to be happy too early. Since you have decided to take this path and rejected the company's endorsement contract, then you will not get any help from me on this path. Everything depends on you. If you want to prove that you can do it, then show me. Hantang Group, which is now ranked 11th in the Dragon Country Enterprise ranking. It was also created by Xiao Han and Tang Shi, a couple who worked hard back then. That's why their company is called Hantang Group. On the one hand, it is a tribute to the dynasty that condensed the culture of the two dragon countries. On the other hand, it also represents the difficult journey of the couple's entrepreneurship. I started from scratch. Why do you pick ready-made peaches? There are thousands of roads in the world, but there is no shortcut to success. Stick to your own path. Then you have to be prepared to be raped by life. Xiao Chenhui stood up. He said to his father in a resounding voice, Father, in 3 years, you will see your son making a smooth journey. Xiao Han walked towards the bedroom without comment. When he reached the stairs, he suddenly paused. Standing there, he seemed to have been thinking for a long time. Finally, he spoke with difficulty. 3 years ago, on the night your mother died, I shouldn't have yelled at you. It is difficult for a father to apologize to his son, especially for a domineering president like Xiao Han. Although he didn't say I'm sorry in his words just now, the meaning was basically the same. Xiao Chenhui was stunned in the living room. Is there something wrong with his ears? Or is his brain beginning to hallucinate? Is his father apologizing to him? When Xiao Chenhui wanted to confirm whether what just happened was true, but he found that his father was no longer in the living room. He couldn't verify it. Xiao Chenhui stretched out his hand and pinched his thigh in a half-awake state. Damn. It hurts. Chapter 125. Meeting an old friend for the first time. In the next few days, Xiao Chenhui was very busy. He could only train for 3 hours a day. The rest of the stone pieces were broken into several pieces. He also had to cooperate with Huawei and Jelly to shoot commercials. He also had to prepare for youth training with Duan Zuan. By the way, with the introduction of Duan Zuan, he met with two commentators, Zhang Luo and He Wei. They had a pleasant meal. He also had to take time to watch the Samba World Cup that was being held. The World Cup can only be seen once every 4 years. It represents the best players in the world competing together. This year it is the turn of the Samba country to host it. Xiao Chenhui didn't want to miss a single game. Indeed, with the strength and system problems of Dragon Country football, it has nothing to do with the world's #1 event like the World Cup. But opportunities are always reserved for those who are prepared. Accumulating experience through game videos is also a way to improve your skills. Many advanced playing methods, techniques and tactics have emerged from the World Cup. With so many things to do, Xiao Chenhui did not forget to call Monica every day. Definitely less than 10 minutes. Xiao Chenhui is not good at talking on the phone for a long time. But he doesn't know why. He and Monica always seem to have endless things to say. In fact, if you think about it carefully, it seems that nothing important was said on the phone. They are just small things in daily life. But it is these small things. They connect Xiao Chenhui in Longguo and Monica far away in the Apennines. Thousands of mountains and rivers cannot block their thoughts about each other. Busy. A week has passed. Xiao Chenhui himself can't explain what he was busy with. But he finally dealt with the shooting of the commercial. If it were a few more days, Xiao Chenhui would probably collapse. Just when he was free, his phone rang. Xiao Chenhui saw that it was Zhui calling. He quickly answered the call. Brother Hui, why did you think of calling me? Zhui's hearty laughter came from the other end of the phone. Hey, I don't deserve to be called Brother Hui. In the hearts of the fans, you are the omnipotent Brother Hui. Xiao Chenhui laughed awkwardly. Look at what happened. I have become the villain who stole the name. Zhui also laughed. Come on, just call me Brother Z in the future. If you call me Brother Hui again, I'm afraid I'll get beaten up when I go out. The two chatted and laughed for a few sentences. Zhui brought the topic back on track. I know you were busy a few days ago, and I didn't feel comfortable disturbing you. When you are not busy in a few days, I will bring my two little brothers to have dinner with you. Hearing Zhui say this, Xiao Chenhui seemed to understand something in his heart. Pelé had contacted Zhui many times before. He planned to arrange for several potential Dragon players to play football in Europe. Zhui promised to help in every way he could. It seems that the two people he brought this time are players who are ready to sign with Pelé and go to Europe to make a living. Dragon country football is in the heyday of the golden dollar storm. There are not many players who are willing to give up the high salary in China and go to Europe to seek development during this period. But it is precisely because of this that those who dare to step out of their comfort zone and endure the trials and tribulations outside are the hope of Dragon country football in the future. Being a bully at home is not really bullying. Only those who can gain a foothold in the European League are truly capable and courageous. Dragon country football wants to get out of the darkness. It still depends on such players. Regardless of whether they can succeed in Europe, at least they dare to take this step. Great. That's great. Brother Hui. Brother Z, why don't you bring them here today? It just so happens that I have nothing to do today. Xiao Chenhui readily agreed. Zhui did not hesitate. Then it's settled. It's 9 o'clock in the morning, and we can fly to the Magic City at noon. After hanging up the phone, Xiao Chenhui quickly called Ma Fanshu again. Fanshu, help me book a quiet restaurant. I have something to discuss with Brother Zhui at noon. Okay, Ma Fanshu simply replied. The restaurant was booked soon. The address was sent to Xiao Chenhui's mobile phone. At 11 o'clock in the morning, Xiao Chenhui went out fully armed. He and Pelé drove to the restaurant, reserved by Ma Fanshu. It must be said that Ma Fanshu's taste and vision are still very high. The restaurant she booked is of high quality. People who come and go here are all high quality people. Even if they find Xiao Chenhui, they will not shout. As for Pelé, the blue-eyed foreigner, he was automatically ignored. Foreigners living in Dragon Kingdom Magic City have more than 200,000, if not 300,000. Who hasn't seen a few foreign friends? What's the fuss? The master and apprentice didn't wait too long. About 10 minutes later, Xiao walked in with two young people. In fact, this was the first time Xiao Chenhui and Xiao met. But he recognized Xiao at a glance. In the previous life, in various newspapers, media, and news footage, Xiao Chenhui had seen Xiao's appearance many times. It's just that he had not seen the real person. Brother Z, here. Xiao Chenhui stood up and waved his hand. Xiao was slightly stunned. It seemed that he did not expect Xiao Chenhui to recognize him so quickly. He just wanted to call Xiao Chenhui and ask which seat he was sitting. He walked to the dining table with the two young men. Xiao first shook hands with Pelé in a friendly manner. Then he patted Xiao Chenhui's strong shoulders. Finally, he introduced the two young men around him. Mr. Andrea, Xiao, let me introduce you. These are my two little brothers. This is Wu Lei, currently playing for the Shanghai SIPG team in the Super League. This is Yan Junling, playing for the Shanghai East Asia team in the Super League. Wu Lei. Yan Junling, Xiao Chenhui said in surprise. I know these two brothers. It's just something that happened in the previous life. And just like Xiao, it's just the kind that I have seen in the news media. So when Xiao Chenhui suddenly saw them when they were young, he couldn't recognize them at once. Wu Lei was born in 1992. He is 22 years old this year. Yan Junling was born in 1993. He is 1 year younger than Wu Lei. He is just 21 years old this year. Brother Hui. Brother Hui. Wu Lei and Yan Junling extended their palms to Xiao Chenhui. Although they are 3 or 4 years older than Xiao Chenhui, they called him Brother Hui sincerely. The strong are respected. Xiao Chenhui is already a double champion and a double top scorer. He will compete in Serie A next season. He is still the undisputed core flag of Brescia. Wu Lei and Yan Junling are still hanging around in the Dragon Country Super League. It is called the Super League. In fact, who doesn't know that it is a super low league? The level is so low that it is unbearable to watch. How can they compare with Xiao Chenhui? Xiao Chenhui shook hands with them one by one. I heard from Brother Z that you want to play football in Europe. Wu Lei and Yan Junling looked at each other. A firm look appeared in their eyes. Wu Lei gave a positive answer. Yes, we want to go to Europe while we are young. We don't want to leave regrets in our careers. As a player who doesn't want to be a shining star in the top 5 European leagues? Who wants to leave a flaw in their career? Even if they can't gain a foothold in the top 5 European leagues, the second tier Portuguese Super League, Dutch League and other leagues are fine. Even Serie B is much better than the Super Low League of Dragon Country. It's just restricted by the characteristics of Dragon Country. They can't realize their dreams. But now it's different. The appearance of Xiao Chenhui and Pelé brought them a ray of hope and let them see the dawn of realizing their dreams. Xiao Chenhui can be a lone brave man in the dark. Why can't they? End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.